couple of gold medalists coming back to Columbia, as is U.S. women's golf amateur champion, and football kicks off practice number 4. Hope your Monday morning's off to a good start. We're going to do our best to help you out as well. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette, and Jen Jensen, full house for you this morning. I guess we got to start with Team USA continuing its domination. Asia Wilson and Dawn Staley coming home with a gold medal, and Team USA as a whole comes back. And Patrick, I'm sure it was you helping to will Team USA to more gold medals than China and more medals overall. It looks like that might have you in a good mood this morning.
Yeah, we came back strong. The whole time, I think we basically had the overall medal count, but China was beating us in the gold medal, so they could have had at least a little bragging rights. And then at the end, we came on strong. 39 gold medals and 113 in total. Can't complain about that. I'll take it. We win.
How about that, Bill? Patrick coming in with
we win the Olympics.
A sunny mood this morning.
I was going to say, very, very upbeat, very ready to go. So yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, was it a success? I'm asking, was it a successful Olympics, Patrick? I feel like you're saying undoubtedly so.
I assume that we were the favorites to win the most golds and the most overalls, but I think it was. Some of our maybe most high-profile people didn't win, but we did overall. I think it's always the track that brings us back, because we were kind of down in the early part, and then track takes over the last week or so of the Olympics, and we kind of crushed that thing. So I don't know. Some of the most high-profile teams, like obviously the Biles stuff, there was a lot of people saying that our 4x100 team kind of screwed it up, and they were supposed to win, and I think we've won a bunch of those in a row. But overall, yeah, I think it was a success.
Okay. Well, just the fact that they ended up having these things, I think quite the accomplishment. And doing it a year later, having to do it with basically no fans, and it was the most unique Olympics we've ever seen for sure. And
6 months till we do it again.
Right. And it ends up very successful for Team USA, as we have come to expect in our, I guess, I was going to say arrogance. Maybe not quite that far, but as we've just become used to. Just like if Team USA didn't win gold in basketball, it would have been a huge upset. And I heard a lot of relief in the post-game comments from Dawn Staley, and Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi joined her on the post-game podium as they won their 5th Team USA or team gold medal, and the only people to ever do that in any sport. Gold medals in a team sport, completely dominating, and the women now tying the Team USA men for most consecutive gold medals in a team sport. And Asia Wilson was away. It was almost laughable to watch that gold medal game late Saturday night with Japan, a couple of 5'4" players out there, and you had 6'8" Brittany Griner, been well over 6 foot, in Asia Wilson, and how Team USA just dominated in the post and did what they needed to do, Bill, to bring home the gold and to stay on top in women's basketball internationally.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that, again, I don't know enough about other countries' women's basketball team, but I would assume that was something we could dominate fairly easily, and Asia Wilson certainly puts on a show. And I think, what was it last night? I read that Sue Bird and I believe another one, there was 5 gold medals. Does that seem right?
Diana Taurasi.
Okay, Diana Taurasi. So certainly a lot of celebration and a lot of rewards for all of those that they go around. Interesting, not surprising, just interesting choice of timing, I guess, for Dawn Staley to announce she's done with it afterwards. But then you look at her resume, winning as a player, winning as an assistant coach, winning as a head coach, and it all makes perfect sense. So, yeah, interesting weekend. So it's all over, huh? That's where we're at. It's now all over. I have nothing to watch this morning, Patrick. Is that what you're telling me? There's no replays here or anything?
Oh. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's replays, but it's over.
We got totally spoiled with those live sports for the last couple of weeks, for sure. Totally spoiled. Football weekend as well. Huge weekend in Canton, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning, I think, overall, the headliner of a couple of classes going in. and watched the speeches, almost all of them, I think, yesterday especially. I know they were Saturday night as well. I didn't catch those in their entirety, but powerful in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways. It was the Gamecocks character and player development. Who's in charge of that right now? And Derek Moore was presenting Calvin Johnson yesterday. And before that, you had Donnie Shell from South Carolina State going in on Saturday with Pittsburgh Steelers, and Peyton Manning kind of in the midst of all of that. Patrick, anything particular? I know you're a bit more of an NFL guy than us. What stood out to you from the induction ceremonies over the weekend?
Well, I guess what stood out, I don't know, Troy Polamalu's bust was pretty awesome. Never seen one with hair like that. I didn't watch all the speeches. I watched some of them. I pulled them up. I didn't watch them live. I pulled a couple of them up on YouTube when they were posted. Like, I watched Peyton's, I watched Edrin's. It's cool now, though, for me, because growing up, when I would actually watch these things and be kind of into it, it was all the guys that I'd just heard of their names, and there would be a couple people that I've never even heard of. But now it's actually players who I can remember getting drafted. I mean, I can remember Calvin Johnson getting drafted and then playing his whole career, now being a Hall of Famer. And then, like, the Troy Polamalu's, my whole life it was who's the better safety, Troy Polamalu or Ed Reed. And I remember Edge, obviously, and Peyton Manning was the guy for my entire football watching life until the last couple years. So I just think it's cool now for me because we're finally reaching the time where it's guys whose entire careers I saw, and I can have a vivid memory of them as players instead of just guys who I would turn it on. My dad would be like, "Oh yeah, that guy was really good," and I just have to take his word for it. But now it's just all studs. Like every just beast from my life growing up is now in the Hall of Fame. So it's kind of cool to see that part of it.
Heard Rich Eisenbill say that Calvin Johnson at 35 years old is the first guy that the NFL Network has covered from combine to Hall of Fame induction speech, and the third youngest, or just the third guy, 35 years or younger, to go in that Hall of Fame, joining Gale Sayers and Jim Brown. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I was just the one that surprised me, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised, was the Edrin James selection. I'm with you, Patrick. That's one I remember him at the U. I remember him. You know, that was my introduction to him, was being a running back at Miami, and then going on to a really good career with the Colts. But I was, I guess, maybe a little surprised. I can't say I know all of his stats, but that he was a Hall of Famer. Tim, are you with me on this? Was that a no-brainer Hall of Fame career from Edrin James? Did I just kind of ignore him and because he would play on a team with Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning and they were good? And did I just kind of ignore that?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's relatively easy to overlook, and then you go back and you look at the numbers and you say, "Whoa, well, yeah, this guy's got to be in the Hall of Fame." I think he's just kind of that guy, and the Hall of Fame to me is it's a resume thing, and it's not usually a dynamic season or two. It is almost more consistency than it is dynamic. I can't even say dynamicism or whatever it is. It's more body of work than it is just single bright lights or huge season or breakout deal. And I mean, like Frank Gore, for instance, and Edrin James, I think are relatively similar, even though I think maybe James has played on better teams. The numbers are ridiculous, and just year in and year out, we just gotten used to Frank Gore putting up huge numbers in the NFL. Edrin James just did it, and maybe didn't get all the credit that he deserved at the time because of Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, like you're talking about, playing beside a couple of other Hall of Famers. But his speech, to me, was by far the best one, or especially the conclusion of his speech, the most notable one. We're going to play a bunch of excerpts for you this morning from the NFL Hall of Fame speeches. Dawn Staley's reaction to winning the gold medal. She and Asia Wilson coming back to Columbia as champions, but they're not the only ones on the female side of things. You guys see this story with Jensen Castle, who went to White High School and then grade collegiate, plays in college right now for Kentucky. Had to qualify for the women's amateur. It was a 12-person field for 2 spots just to get in. So she's in as the number 63 seed in a 64-woman field, and then goes on to win the U.S. Women's Amateur. Quite the underdog story for Jensen Castle this weekend. Certainly more than notable as we will probably end up, as we normally do, talking mostly Gamecock football. 3 practices in, not a lot of comments out of Gamecock football. You're going to get several players, a handful of players talking this morning after their 4th practice kicks off at 9:40 or so. So we'll have more updates for you throughout the day for sure. The huge headlining news of the weekend for college football was at 91 years old, Bobby Bowden passes away, the Florida State legend who led the Seminoles to 14 straight top 5 finishes, I should say. Bill, what's the main message or main memory you take away from Bobby Bowden's just a tremendous college football legacy?
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday, and just kind of as I cut on the television yesterday morning and saw the news of Bobby Bowden and what exactly I thought of him. And I guess, Tim, you and I, you're a little bit older than me, but not significantly, and just the dominance of Florida State in the 90s and just the way that program, even though they only won 2 national championships, seemed to be above everybody else in so many different ways. And I don't know. I guess I don't know if I have a lasting memory. I guess maybe one of them is Bobby Bowden on the sideline during the 1999 national championship game against Virginia Tech. And he's like, yeah, we're going to run reverse. He was talking about it. Actually, the game was owned yesterday, and I watched just a little bit of it, but I didn't see the particular moment where he's basically telling the announcers, he's doing what is now very common to do the interview kind of during the game. And as he's doing, he's like, yeah, we're going to run a reverse here to Peter Warwick, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. And as it happens, he scores a touchdown, like on the reverse. And I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy to be talking about what you're going to run on national television. I think I was a high school junior at the time, or maybe going into my senior year. But I would say that was my memory. Man, just the dominance of Florida State at that time, the quarterbacks that were rolling through there, and the way they played.
The consistent dominance, again, is what I take away. But more than that, Bobby Bowden, I think, as he was being remembered yesterday, what stood out to me is that you can be really, really good at what you do, and yet how you treat other people is how you're going to be remembered probably the most if you do it right. And Bobby Bowden was that guy where just memory after memory after memory yesterday seemed to point out not only was he an amazing college football coach, but he was kind. He treated people the right way, and I don't feel like you normally get that from a tremendously successful football coach, and he's an exception there. I feel like Patrick at 25 years old, I'm guessing you just missed some Bobby Bowden memories, or maybe grew up with him being on the tail end of his Florida State career.
Yeah, I just grew up with him as an old man on the sidelines, and I would have never known that he kind of built Florida State to be what they became. I mean, I just knew that he won a lot of games. I pulled up his Wikipedia. He started coaching 15 years before my dad was born, and he started coaching in 1954, and he got to Florida State in 1976. It's unreal. So for me, it was always the two just old guys that I was like, how are you still coaching? Was Bobby Bowden and Jeff Paterno, and they both had just a million wins apiece, and that's really all that I know about him. But yeah, legend. Obviously, I didn't really know anything about him as a person other than just having a football family and a couple sons coaching and all that stuff. So I definitely was a tail end.
But that he kept his phone number in the phone book basically his entire career.
I just realized I have his phone number.
There you go.
I have Bobby Bowden's phone number. I called him to do an interview one time, and he's like, yeah, save my number. This was maybe 10 years ago. He was like, save my number just in case. Here it is. And then I think he was going to try and give me his home number too. Like you said, he's like, yeah, right. And I forget it, but I'm looking at it now. I just realized I have it that I called one time. And really, honestly, I'd totally forgotten about this until you were mentioning the phone number thing. And I do an 850 number for Bobby Bowden. It's a funny what ends up in your phone sometimes as we've done this job and trying to connect with people.
Well, also the fact that he lived in a relatively modest home for making the massive amounts of money that college football coaches ended up making, especially towards the end of his career. Another headlining memory, I think, for a lot of people, and kind of a defining thing for Bobby Bowden specifically. Patrick, you got it in front of you. You said started coaching in 1954. You got West
Yep.
Virginia and Samford on that resume. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I mean, his first season as a coach was in the 1954-55 season as assistant at Samford before a couple years at South Georgia State College, and then became the head coach at Samford, then Florida State, West Virginia, Florida State.
Well, I used to cover a bunch of Tommy Bowden press conferences working in TV in Columbia and going over to Clemson because Lou Holtz and Tommy Bowden used to have theirs on separate days, so I was able to do both of them. And Tommy Bowden would refer to seeing his dad hung in effigy. I believe it was at West Virginia when they weren't doing very well to begin with. Anytime there were struggles or he was reflecting on poor public perception of the job he was doing, and something that he constantly reminded himself of, I think, and others, that the legendary head coaches have their struggles too. And Bobby Bowden, man, a unique figure in college football for sure. Being remembered after passing away yesterday at 91 years old. The news had come out several weeks ago, I think it was, that he was given a kind of a terminal diagnosis and turned out to be pancreatic cancer. And certainly thoughts and prayers with his family, and a life well lived in an amazing way for 91 years for sure. The legendary college football coach ends up with second most wins in college football history. We'll continue to discuss him. Gene, hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Bobby, great man, great coach, Punt Ruski. And it was Heath who put it out on Twitter yesterday, or retweeted it on Twitter, that I saw about that Punt Ruski story in a top 10 matchup in Death Valley back in the day against Clemson. And Patrick, if you haven't seen that story, just from a college football historical perspective, Michael wanted to point out, beat Clemson on the last play in the 80s, and the fumble Ruski wasn't quite the last play, but it was towards the end, and it was a fake punt on their own 21-yard line. I think it was, where Leroy Butler goes all the way down to the 1-yard line. They end up kicking the field goal to win the football game. It's a great story, as were a lot of the induction speeches in Canton over the weekend, telling great stories. And we'll let you hear some of those again. Let you hear from Dawn Staley, who's celebrating her 6th Team USA gold medal as they win their 7th in a row there. She does it as head coach, done it as a player. Asia Wilson joining her, doing it as a player as well. Quite the celebration for them and Team USA overall, who ended up topping China for the gold medal mark. And like you said, Patrick, Team USA comes away as the champion of the Olympics. So a notable day in multiple ways. We'll love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to hit us up like our favorite 87-year-old caller is doing right now on the Love Chevy phone lines. 803-404-6100 is the number. That same number will get you in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line as well. We're just getting warmed up on a Monday morning, where we hope your week is off to a good start, and we're 1 week closer now to college football season. Gamecock football kicks off its 4th practice coming up here in a few hours. We will discuss plenty more of Gamecock football as we roll on. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
It's back to school time. Back to school time. That actually probably means, for a lot of you, getting up early again, getting the kids in the school pick or drop off line, probably having to go back through the pickup line, all the fun things that come along with going back to school. It also means on the weekends, trying to enjoy and relax the best you can. And if you got a personal pool at your house, you definitely want to take advantage of that. You don't want it to be dirty. You need it to be nice and clean, ready to be used, grill out by, maybe do a cannonball into it. And if that's the case, make sure that thing is clean. Call Corley Pool Solutions, 803-445-8109. Here's the important part. You're about to spend all this time getting the kids back to school. You probably got soccer, baseball, football practice, maybe some cheerleading practice. You got, understand what I'm doing with my life. You don't want to spend time going to the pool store, buying the chemicals, trying to figure out if you're mixing them correctly, and then something goes wrong. No, you need to use a professional. Tracy Corley and his team have been in business for 20 plus years. Now is the time to give them a phone call this morning, 800-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. They'll offer that kind of pool maintenance for you. 803-445-8109. It's Corley Pool Solutions. Georgia versus Clemson from 2014 is on television. Tory Gurley just ran for another 51-yard touchdown.
Interesting. I saw Todd Gurley do that. Yeah.
That would make more sense, wouldn't it? So that made it even more strange that it was Tory.
Yeah. Now they got Sony Michel and
they just showed. Do you remember Keith Marshall?
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
played for the Redskins.
Did he end up going on to an NFL career? He didn't do much at Georgia, did he?
I mean, when you play for the Redskins, not really, right?
No, he never. I don't even know if he never. I don't know if he ever made an opening day roster, but he was always like pretty dynamic in preseason, and everyone was like, maybe Keith Marshall can bring some to this team, and like he would pop in every once in a while during the regular season, maybe. But he went to several camps in a row and just.
Tory Gurley had 298 total yards in this game and 4 touchdowns. 198 yards rushing, 100 kickoff return yards. There's Brian McClendon standing on the sideline looking smart.
So what'd you get into this weekend, Patrick?
Moving
again?
No, not me. Girlfriend moved.
Did you go? You didn't go to Nashville, did you?
No, she's there, staying in a hotel for 2 weeks, flying back on the 21st, and then we're gonna pack a van for her, and she's gonna drive it up. So we were just getting the house ready, and packing our car.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Your perspective, especially.
She doesn't have that much stuff, though. At least
Impressive.
I have a lot of stuff for no
That's
particular
key.
reason. Every time I've moved, it's been a nightmare because I've just accumulated all my old roommates' things.
You're that guy.
Yeah, just when there's a good couch, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to throw it out.
It's not like walking back from getting coffee, hearing Patrick say, when there's a good couch, I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah. I have 2 recliners, 2 couches, 3 couches, like a couple chairs with ottomans. I have a lot of furniture downstairs.
Here. Sounds like it. So Georgia had Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, and Keith Marshall, I think, was a 5-star recruit at that time.
Wow.
Mark Ricks hugging everybody.
When was this? This was 2014. What part of the season was this?
This was the first game.
So it was when Deshaun Watson comes in just briefly and then goes back.
He came in briefly. Cole Stout's thrown about 2 or 3 interceptions. I think it wasn't much longer after that they went to, I think it might have been 2 games later, they went to Watson. Now Hudson Mason is playing quarterback. The South Carolina Georgia game from that year was on Saturday morning. You forget how good Dylan Thompson was slinging around.
Sam, let's go ahead and do the Peyton Manning story here, please.
All right, straight in.
Mm-hmm.
So Marshall and I have heard it. But I also think that they run plays at night. They scrimmage. They throw a little 7-on-7. The other night I had a team. I was in one of those scrimmages. The other team's coaches were Vince Lombardi and Paul Brown. My coaches, Bill Cowher and Jimmy Johnson. That's right, a Cowboy and a Steeler working together, only in Canton, Ohio. We were on the 50-yard line with only 3 seconds left in the game. Coach Cowher called a running play. I said, Coach, I'm going to have to audible. Omaha. I called a pass play. My bus faked the handoff to Barry Sanders. I threw a 20-yard breaking route to Michael Irvin. Right as Deacon Jones and Ray Nitsky hit me at the same time. Irvin, as he was getting tackled by Ronnie Lott, then lateral to Steve Largent, and a foot race down the sideline with Daryl Green and Lynn Barnett. And Sammy Largent, knowing he couldn't win the foot race to Daryl Green, then lateral back to Lance Allworth and dove into the end zone for the game-winning score. And yesterday, it was just a dream, but tonight it's reality.
Peyton Manning headlining a Hall of Fame weekend unlike any other. 20 inductees in Canton on Saturday, and then yesterday that was Peyton Manning, part of the 2021 class. And to me, that really summed up kind of who he is, not just a tremendous player, but also a pro football historian. And going through that scenario there was both entertaining and I think really sums up kind of the atmosphere around Peyton Manning, man. I watched that, and it will stick with me for a while, both just the significance of he going into the Hall of Fame, but the emotion of the entire Manning family there, with his dad Archie as the guy who introduced him and basically helped him pull off the sheet there on the bust. And then Eli was obviously in the stands. Tom Brady had made the trip there as well. It was a notable, more than a notable weekend for the Hall of Fame. And Peyton Manning, obviously, much more than a notable ho-hum Hall of Famer for sure. It means a lot to the game of football in a lot of different ways, Bill. We got to see it from the SEC perspective, and I think he made either his first start or his earliest significant playing time came at Williams-Brice Stadium back in the day for Tennessee against South Carolina in his freshman season. And I know Gamecock fans not necessarily on the leading the Peyton Manning bandwagon, but that he was one of those guys I feel like that you had to begrudgingly respect no matter where you were as far as a fan of his personally.
I don't know. Peyton Manning's career is interesting. I never disliked him. I think Patrick said it best on Friday when we were talking about the Hall of Fame introduction and Tom Brady. And I forget, Patrick, how you worded it, but just I guess how Tom Brady had gotten the best of him, out of Peyton Manning, pretty much every time they played. And then Peyton Manning finally with Tony Dungy wins the Super Bowl and then goes and wins the second one with Denver to at least tie Eli. But I don't know. It's interesting because Peyton Manning post NFL career, I think, has shown so much more. Tim, do you remember the old Saturday Night Live skits with Peyton Manning? I think it was playing football with the little kids in the yard and then dancing, and we were like, wow, this guy's got a personality. Am I the only one that was, when he was playing, it was like Mr. No Personality, and then you saw the Saturday Night Live skits, and you're like, wow, that guy's actually got a personality. And now you listen to him or you watch him, to me, and he's one of the most entertaining people, I think, in sports. I think he does a great job.
I don't know about no personality, but he's that guy that was easy to maybe dislike because he played for another. How he played, it was all the pre-snap orchestrations, right? And you're like, what is this guy doing? Come on, man, just play the game. But it's part of who he was. I think how he doesn't take himself seriously. And he took a shot at Ray Lewis, I think, he basically said he was just wrapping up his induction ceremony speech from a few years ago, and that's why they had to put the big time limit on these guys. And thanks a lot. And he said by the time Tom Brady gets in 2030, he'll be able to post it on Instagram. I think it's his sense of humor and being able. I mean, he just gets it. You know what I mean? I think he gets how he's perceived, and he has fun with it. And that's something that not a lot of players either have the awareness to do or have the humility to do, I think, in his position. And Yeah, he is. I think he has gotten more famous, maybe if that's where you're going, Bill, after his playing days than he was even while he was playing, just because of the way he handles everything. What do you think, Patrick?
I thought he was the most known to be the most likable guy. Like, I didn't think he was controversial. I mean, he's my mom's favorite player. There's other, like, I just know that there were moms in my neighborhood that were just Peyton Manning fans. Like, there were a couple that had Peyton Manning jerseys and they were Washington fans, but they just loved Peyton. Like, I just thought that's what he was. He had the personality. I thought he was always funny, relatively funny, before even the Saturday Night Live thing, because he would have a personality. I mean, he was basically just a computer at the line of scrimmage, just racking his mind for what he's seen on film and what the defense is doing and yada yada. But I thought he always had that personality.
Maybe this is SEC East bias, Bill. Is that where we're coming from the South Carolina standpoint? I think it was an evolution of kind of goofy to funny.
Because Brady was the guy that wasn't likable because he was so serious. And all I remember is my whole life I was trying to convince my dad and my mom and just the other parents around the neighborhood, Brady's better, guys. Brady's better. And they're like, no. Brady's got Belichick. He wins, but Peyton's better. And then every time Tom Brady wins another Super Bowl, I'll say something to my dad like, that Tom Brady's the best ever, isn't he? And because they never wanted to admit it because they liked Peyton so much. But Tom Brady was they felt like kind of a jerk, and he was cocky, and he was the pretty boy and all this. But Peyton was just the best. Peyton was just so funny, so likable. And
I think losing those matchups might have made him more likable as well. Do you think that would do it at all, Bill?
I don't know. It's interesting what Patrick just said, because it did seem like Peyton Manning had a strong female following there in his career. And maybe, Tim, to an extent, you're right. There was several beatings by Tennessee with Peyton Manning leading the way of South Carolina that I witnessed, and maybe that had a residual effect on it. I don't know if I ever disliked him. I think that's a strong word. I don't know if I ever actually disliked Peyton Manning. I don't know if I ever went out of my way, though, to really say that I was a fan of his. I always thought he was entertaining to watch, but I think he's become more likable post-career with some of the goofy things he's doing and showing, again, a personality. You know, look, for the longest time, we haven't seen a personality out of Tom Brady, right? And now all of a sudden he goes to Tampa and he's partying like Rob Gronkowski on boats after winning the Super Bowl. He's throwing footballs into jugs machines, and you got people studying the video to see if that actually happened. I mean, I don't know. I guess as these guys get older, to me, it's kind of like Phil Mickelson. Although I always thought Phil Mickelson was very easy to like on tour, but now you've seen him do more stuff with social media, and kind of just later in his career seem to be more likable. But I would maybe is that a good comparison? Because I don't think Peyton Manning ever was not likable. I just think he was always considered kind of a geek, a dork, of a football nerd.
Yeah, he was. He was the fun, nerdy guy, but Brady was perceived as just the pretty boy with his Uggs and Bridget Moynihan and Victoria's Secret model. He's now married to a Victoria's Secret model and all this. Like, forget about that guy.
Well, and I think it just depends, too, where you're coming at it from. Obviously, if you're a Tennessee fan and Phil Fulmer was in the stands yesterday, you're all on board the Peyton Manning train and the whole deal. Maybe from the Steve Spurrier perspective, I feel like he kind of developed that reputation of getting so close but not being able to win the big game in college with the Florida's kind of dominance over Tennessee. And the fact that Tennessee wins the national championship the year after Peyton Manning leaves is weird. He was 3-13 in his first year with the Colts, and then they turned it around and go 13-3, and they're really, really good after that. But it took him a while to kind of ascend to the top. I feel like that makes a guy easier to like overall than someone like Tom Brady, who has won as much as he's won and just seems to find a way to win those personal matchups, as well as it didn't seem like he really cared about being liked. I think that is a thing for Peyton Manning, or maybe just the Manning family is just kind of I don't know, is easier to embrace than others. Maybe it was a more of a family dynamic than anything else. I wanted to get to this, and somebody hit us up on the Cool Care. Brad hit us up on the Cool Care text line. Didn't want you to think that I had not seen this or it doesn't merit discussion just with everything else going on over the weekend. I hadn't brought it up yet. You guys see the latest on Will Muschamp over at Georgia. Scott Cochran is kind of to me, like the most famous strength coach out there, but he had left Alabama, gone over to Georgia to be their special teams coordinator on the field, and now he's stepping away from Kirby Smart's staff to address a personal issue or see to some personal circumstances that haven't been kind of made known, and that leaves a gap for Kirby Smart's staff, and Will Muschamp's just hanging out as a $300,000 analyst there, and the report is that Muschamp going to be the guy to help Kirby Smart actually on the field, become one of those 10 on the field assistant coaches for Georgia this year. Bill, your reaction to that?
I mean, I don't think this was planned. I think this is just something that has kind of happened, and I think it probably was going to. I think it was going to probably work that way, maybe in a year or two, whenever a spot opened after this year. But I don't think there's anything nefarious here with Scott Cochran. It sounds like there's a health issue. Is the statement that they kind of put out regarding him, and hope that everything's okay with him. But yeah, certainly. I've been reading some of the recruiting articles. Muschamp is very involved in that program right now, and has been helping recruit when kids come on campus. I can't say, like, guys, I don't know what the exact role of off the field assistants are when it's time to coach. Like, is he trapped up in a room overlooking practice, sending text messages to assistant coaches? Like, is that what he's been doing? You know, do you really believe that Will Muschamp's been sitting in a film room and just handing pieces of paper to actual coaches saying, here's what you need to do? Like, I guess this to me is just entitled only. There's no way Will Muschamp hasn't been very involved in getting Georgia's defense or Georgia ready for the 2021 season.
And Kirby Smart's talked about it publicly, just saying that he's leaned on Muschamp a lot just during drills. He'll go over and say, hey, you guys do anything different than this? Is there a better way to do this with the head coaching experience that it is? But it is a different role and certainly a different public perception. It's one thing to join a staff and kind of be in the shadows. It's another thing to be on the field or at least be considered an on-the-field coach, even if Will Muschamp's in the press box come Saturday when Georgia and South Carolina play. The fact that you've got him over at Georgia, Mike Bobo over at Auburn, knowing what they were for South Carolina last year, man, it makes 2021 that much more interesting. But again, the report out of Georgia is that Scott Cochran, special teams coordinator, stepping away for, I guess it's a kind of an unknown time right now, and not a specified reason other than the health or personal reasons that was reported, and that Will Muschamp will kind of fill in. Not necessarily as a special teams coordinator, maybe, but on the staff, and they might reshuffle. Again, no official word out of Georgia yet that we've seen. We'll update you this morning if that pops out. Got practice number 4 for Gamecock football. Pretty quiet weekend as far as what's happened out of the first 3 practices, but going to get players talking a little later on this morning, so more details will come out as Gamecock football continues to prepare for game number 1 against Eastern Illinois on September 4th. We're preparing for a couple more hours this morning. Plenty to get to on the day that the Olympics wrap up, and a couple of gold medals coming home to Columbia with Dawn Staley and Asia Wilson. The U.S. amateur golf champion Jensen Castle from West Columbia. Huge underdog story as well. You're listening to the early game here. It's 107.5 The Game.
Yeah, you heard me talking about enjoying the weekend a few minutes ago and celebrating, kids going back to school, maybe with a pool party or something. You need to do something for yourself too, and that involves getting a fantastic night of sleep. Have you discovered proven quality sleep yet? That's a question. If not, now's the time to make the switch. It's the final days to save up to $1,000 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds and adjustable bases plus special financing. But that ends today with Sleep Number. This is subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Tell you what, I put my Sleep Number setting on 65 each and every night. Get a fantastic night of sleep. Wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go. Kids go back to school next week, so I better get a few extra great nights of sleep. And again, you can do the same. Discover proven quality sleep. Final days to save $1,000 on select Sleep Number 360 smart beds and adjustable bases with special financing. But again, that deal ends today. 2 stores to choose from, one in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard, the other in Columbia 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. Now is the time. Don't wait any longer. Get over to a Sleep Number store today. You can visit them on the web as well, sleepnumber.com. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
You're not about to tell me we're hurting for resources. We got everything that they have. And so if we're lacking, the finger is going to be pointed at the coaching staff.
Here we go, Matt. So you guys are a senior-led team coming back. You bringing back 16.
Bill, I think that's you. That's extra audio. No, it's me.
Named Will Muschamp to the staff, and apparently they had about 12 different little videos playing all at the same time. So did anybody have Kyle Larson in our pick'em? Because Jen never put anything out.
Yeah, I forgot. Sorry, it's been a busy weekend. Family's been in town. Reggie did.
How about that?
I don't know. So,
Okay, so that's no big deal because Reggie was so far behind that doesn't even that. If anybody's gonna have it, Reggie would be a good one for someone to have it. Kyle Larson was number 2 on my. I had Elliott 1 and Kyle Larson 2.
I had Larson as 2. I felt like Chase was the obvious. That's how I think Carrie and I kind of roll. It's more of thinking through instead of playing the odds. Like, okay, but we could see this person, and there's different nuances, and
Craig doesn't know his Tom Brady history.
Yeah, you gotta know the previous Tom Brady girlfriends prior to.
That's
That
right.
was a big problem. He started dating Giselle while Bridget Moynihan was pregnant, and they hadn't even gotten divorced yet.
And that's where my skis factor, like,
That's
goes
why
into
my
high
mom
gear.
hated him too. Yeah.
It's like, really, dude? Okay. Clown.
They got divorced like as soon as she became pregnant, and then he started dating Giselle.
Yeah.
Not in the morning to go out and mess with the geese. They appear to be in unison out there on not flying away.
YouTube definitely does not want you taking their audio.
What's that, Jen?
Auto playing ads.
YouTube definitely does not want you taking their audio.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how long it's taken to pull audio because they keep dropping ads in?
Sorry, that stinks.
No, it's all right. It's common, but yeah, no, they at least
They
for the Hall of
auto play
Fame.
him right in the middle.
Yep, multiple times.
So can we do 2 and then 1 coming back straight in, Jen?
2 and then 1. Yes.
Right. And then we'll get to Gamecock Larry here in this segment as well.
Man, a lot of drama going on.
A lot of what?
Drama in New Orleans.
For the Saints?
The Michael Thomas is getting a surgery like much later, like right before the season, and Sean Payton, when it happened, said that he should have gotten it months ago. And then over the weekend, reports came out that Michael Thomas was just ignoring calls from everyone in the Saints organization that was telling him to get this surgery. And he just put a tweet out or Instagram story out, tweet out that says, they tried to damage your reputation and you saved theirs by not telling your side of the story. Not good for a guy that just signed a new deal.
That's Derek Moore. He's in charge of character and player development for South Carolina. He used to do it at Georgia Tech and helped introduce Calvin Johnson in Canton at the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony yesterday. And man, Calvin Johnson was an impressive speaker. I was not expecting to hear what I heard from him. You know, he came to Carolina recently because of the Derek Moore connection, and he is big into kind of alternative methods of dealing with pain. And he mentioned how he took a lot of things while he was playing and it had an adverse effect on him. It's one of the reasons why his career was as short as it was. And he's kind of anti-opioids right now and pro-plant-based methods of dealing with pain, including marijuana and CBD oil and the whole thing. And it was a very interesting induction speech. You know, most people have a bit of an agenda. Peyton Manning's was the legacy that the Hall of Famers kind of, or the debt of, I don't even know what exactly to put it. They owe the game so much because of what it gave them, and they need to push it forward and the whole thing and make sure football is kind of his theme. The Calvin Johnson theme was very interesting for sure. Before we wrap up hour number one, I wanted to get out to the Love Chevy phone lines and hear where Gamecock is right now. Teddy D hit up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, says, woke up excited that it's officially TTT, trash talking time. He's ready to hear Gamecock and the Legion of Doom go at it. So without further ado, let's
Larry's up to this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good Monday morning, 9 August the 9th, 26 days before kickoff. That must-champ news made me change everything. I guarantee you they'll be fussing and fighting before the end of the season. Must-champ will not be there next year. Now, Root Hog, Legion of Doom, you increased your status by 1 last week. Old Gamecock Larry increased his GLP by 4. So I still got you, buddy. Mark and Melissa Venture, I knew they was Gamecocks through and through, but I met them a long time ago. And old Mark finally called me yesterday. But that's about all I got to say. I was going to say a lot more, but that must champ. I started to tell you this when it went there. He'd be on the field before the season started, but I just let it go. But I
45.
To you, Bulldog Bert, and all you Bulldog fans, Dr. Mike Millen out there at the VA, I guarantee you, Must-Tap and old Smart. I don't think he's too smart, but he's a good coach.
20.
He goes, oh, I just hope I'm around in 2023, I think it is, when old Must-Tap and Smart come to Columbia. I just hope I'm around because we're going to run him out of town.
And we're running into hour number 2. Thank you, Larry.
WNKTFM, Columbia. It's all sports, all the time. 107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus station.
I thought he was actually going to get out on time there.
Oh no, he was that was weaving and bobbing and going. That was all over the place.
Is that his liver pudding heating up in the microwave in the background?
I never know what the beeping is.
Might have been a different machine.
Patrick, just making sure, because I think this happened last week. Today's not a trash day for you, is it? Do you have to get the trash out to the curb?
No, I didn't make it on Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah, thankfully there's just two of us, so it's not a huge deal if we miss it.
How about Lane Kiffin's line? I look like an anaconda that had swallowed a deer, and the deer got stuck in its neck. He said he was up to 245, and he's dropped about 30 pounds.
It's a very specific
analogy, for sure.
Bill, you watching the Texas A&M North Carolina game?
I flipped over to Sports Center for a minute. I was watching. I did in my free time this weekend. I did spend some time watching just, I think it was like Indiana, Penn State, or Iowa, Northwestern, some Big Ten football. I'm getting into that part of the year where I rewatch just kind of whatever game might be on.
I'm just watching DeMarvin Leal in this game, number 8 for A&M. Gonna be a top 10 pick.
See a DN?
Yep. He's gonna be one of Enigbare's chief competitors for top end of the first round. I was listening to a PFF podcast where they rated Enigbare the 5th best SEC player going into the season, or 5th best SEC draft prospect going into the season.
Wow. I'm guessing J.C. Horn wasn't rated higher than that going into last year.
No, Enigbare is number 10 overall on the big board for PFF right now.
Wow.
It's very, very high. And he's 5th in the SEC, which is
about right.
Yeah. It's a pretty good pass rushing class. Kayvon Thibodeau, DeMarvin Leal, Adam Anderson from Georgia will be up there.
That Sunrise is looking good back there, Bill.
It was nice. Went out and saw the birds last night. Went out and watched all the birds. You even got to go a little bit later now. You used to be able to go out about 7:30, but it was kind of fun watching them come back in or go home to the island to nest for the night. Kind of interesting.
Would you like to further explain your social media video now, or would you prefer to do it on the air, Bill?
I mean, there wasn't. Well, I mean, it was just stupid. It was more of my own version. Have you seen Colin Cowherd? I saw Dan Levitard do it over the weekend. He was mocking Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd did a video similar to that.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was more of just kind of in reference to that. I mean, it wasn't anything. It was the only one I could do. Like I thought about going down a path of what they did. Cowherd put one out maybe a week ago where he's smoking a cigar and bragging about they had just hired somebody. I guess is he with Volume Sports, or that was the name that he threw out?
Volume Sports is his company.
Is it? Okay.
Podcast, man.
Is it a podcast or like a?
Yeah, it's like a podcast network, I think, maybe.
Like he was doing the same thing with Volume Sports. And so Levitard came back and mocked him and did one. And at the end, Levitard's was real funny because Levitard's smoking a cigar and he's shirtless. And he gets to the end and he's doing like the fake laugh. And he starts wheezing and coughing. So anyway, what was that? Was that Saturday? Late Saturday afternoon? After I'd been shopping with the girls all day. I just spent some time doing shopping. You all right, cutie? All right. Daughter has just woken up. 7 o'clock. Look at you getting up, getting ready. Next week, you'll be ready to start going back to school. All right. That is the face of a person ready to go back to school. So yeah, that's all the video was. If you haven't seen it, it was pretty funny.
It's an amazing stat Carlton puts out right there, huh?
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, the two are who? I know it's Dan Reeves. Who's the second one? From USC is my question.
Did John Abraham get in? No, Abraham's not in. I think it's only one.
Who you got, Carlton? Who's the second one you're giving credit to? Sterling Sharp's not in.
Sterling Sharp's not in.
He's a college football Hall of Famer. If you got that number wrong, Carlton, that will be a suspension. But if you got it right, then you'll have bragging rights.
Why is on the
Brian
Hall of
Dawkins
Fame?
is the only Clemson.
Why is on the Hall of Fame website Dan Reeves attributed to Georgetown?
Yeah, good question. I think maybe he got his grad degree there, and maybe they get to choose which school they want to be associated with.
That seems fair.
There's no one on the
There's no
website
one on there,
for University of South Carolina.
Right. Jen, let's come in with some sound here. Do number 5.
Okay.
Thank you.
The fact that it was a gold medal game had a equally focused effort by our players. So happy that we have 2 legends here on our team to will us into a gold medal game and to get the win.
Dawn Staley, after her 6th gold medal with Team USA tying the Team USA men's run of its 7th straight gold medal, most team consecutive gold medals in Olympic history. And Dawn Staley referring to Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, who got their 5th. They have the most individual, I guess, team medals, if you will. They are the 2 individuals in Olympic history with the most team gold medals. And Team USA dominates Japan. It was 18-5, I think, early on. I was laughing out loud at the poor 5'4" guards for Japan trying to, on switches, they would get on Brittany Griner, who's 6'8". And then there was one time Diana Taurasi just held the ball over her head with one hand. And the 5'4" guard was kind of jumping up, and she was laughing.
I think they posted that picture on the basketball website. I saw it get retweeted a couple times.
Just unfair. It was a classic bully scene, and Team USA cruising. And Asia Wilson, a big part of it was clear that the game plan was to go down low and exploit the height advantage in the post, and that's exactly what they did. Asia had 10 points, I think, in the first half, and Griner might have had 18 or something in the first half. And it wasn't even as close as the final score would indicate. You got to give Japan a bunch of credit for even finishing second, best finish they've ever had. And they had a lot of inherent disadvantages there, even though they were playing at home. But Team USA and Dawn Staley coming back and basically doing what they were sent to do. And then afterwards, Dawn Staley mentioning that she's now done as Team USA head coach. 6 gold medals, enough for her. 3 as a player and 3 as a coach, I think is what it is. That might not even be how it breaks down, but we're becoming the head coach. And now she said there are plenty of other coaches who can do this thing. And it looks like she's going to step aside for that role and continue to try to get South Carolina women's basketball to do what Team USA basketball does and get in the best players, and then they can kind of enjoy the freedom of not having to be the best player game in and game out is what she alluded to in her post-game comments after the 15-point win in the gold medal game yesterday, which was a part of Team USA edging out China by 1 guess it was the women's volleyball team for the first time winning gold and giving Team USA the ultimate edge there in gold medals and a bit of a comeback run. And the overall medals were kind of insured for a while, but both the overall medal count and the gold medal, so Team USA comes away from the most unique Olympics that I think any of us have ever seen, in the year delay over at Tokyo and all the COVID issues that were dealt with and kind of worked around here this past couple of weeks. And now we're kind of bummed this morning that we don't have the live sports that we became accustomed to. I know, Patrick, I'm guessing you don't celebrate as much as you do kind of exhale and say, yeah, that's what I expected. That's what should have happened. That's what Team USA does.
Kind of, but I was ready to just bring it with the spin zone that we had the most medals, so it doesn't even count. Or so it doesn't even matter because we had the most overalls, but all that matters is gold. So now I don't even need to spin it. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, China has, what, 2 to 3 times as many people as us, so I would have built in that excuse right away. I was ready. I was ready for whatever, but no, I mean, we're the best.
Underscore Patrick Perrette, where you can follow Patrick on
That's
Twitter.
Athletic Country.
Not to 1075.
And our best athletes don't even compete. They're all playing football. People don't think about that.
Who doesn't think about that? I think everybody thinks about football in this country. I think only.
No, but you don't think about we won the most medals and the most gold medals without our best athletes competing because they're all playing football. They're all in training camp.
Fair enough. Speaking of football, Peyton Manning headlining the Hall of Fame weekend. Let you hear plenty of excerpts of the best that we heard from the induction ceremony speeches in Canton. Also college football, remembering Bobby Bowden, who passed away at the age of 91 over the weekend. Steve Spurrier, I saw, put out the tweet saying he remembers fondly the battles they used to have and enjoyed the relationship that he and Bobby Bowden shared post-careers, really after retirement. They both, I think, worked together for a specific charity. I think it was raising money off the field. And one of many thoughts and memories put out there across the football world honoring Bobby Bowden, an absolute legend. And his run, Bill, of 14 straight years where Florida State finishes in the top 5 is absolutely incredible. Nick Saban's kind of rewriting the record book, but I think Alabama finished outside of the top 5 here in the last couple of years. I think they finished number 8 a couple of years ago. It just shows the remarkable consistency. And I give Bowden even more credit than he gives Saban, because Bowden's kind of goal, I was reading on The Athletic when he went to Florida State, was to get back to his home state of Alabama and eventually take over for Bear Bryant and get into that perennial powerhouse program. But yes, as the story goes, that there was a string of 5 straight years where Florida State played at LSU, and they had gotten to the point at one of those games where Bobby told his wife, Ann, that, you know what, if we beat LSU in this one, I'm not going to worry about Alabama anymore, because that means we're just as good as Alabama. And they ended up beating LSU, I think, 24-19 in the ball game. And obviously Bobby Bowden never left Florida State, ended up becoming the second all-time winning coach in college football history. Your main takeaway this morning, remembering Bobby Bowden and the absolute legend that he is in college football, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, just certain moments. Unfortunately, one of them is kind of the face he made. I think it was the first wide left where he runs down the sideline and looks confused and kind of is looking around like, wait, we missed it? It didn't go through? Those epic games against Miami. I don't know, man. I guess it's just the culture. That program was feared. It's Patrick. What do you kind of remember about Florida State? Like, what is your memory? Because, man, mine in the 90s, the Tomahawk Chop would get going and that place would get rolling. There was quarterbacks coming out of there left and right. There was athletes like Deion Sanders and Peter Warwick and Warwick Dunn, and I'm sure I'm leaving some other great ones. Derek Brooks coming out. Like, Patrick, you're kind of the younger guy in the group. I feel like your knowledge of Florida State is limited to Jimbo and Jameis Winston.
Yeah, I mean, I remember them being good, not incredible. I mean, Maryland. I grew up at Maryland games in the ACC, and I'd been to Florida State games. Probably one of the more miserable football games I went to was a blackout game with Florida State coming to Bird Stadium with Christian Ponder and just wiping the floor with Maryland. But I just knew of them as a team that was much better than Maryland, but not like the best, because we were Maryland LSU fans, and I always considered LSU to be a tier above Florida State in my earlier years.
Man, that changed. I mean,
Bobby Bowden, right? And I apologize, Charles. It was. I don't know why I said wide left. That makes no sense at all. But it is 7:11 in the morning, and I've got another cat, random cat meowing over my right shoulder. So I apologize. Wide right. I don't know why I said wide left.
Why would wide left make no sense?
Because they all three at one. Because weren't all three? Are you familiar with wide right? Does that?
Yeah, I think of wide right, and I think of the Bills.
Right.
But you said wide left wouldn't have made sense. I mean, it would make sense. It would just be the opposite way.
But it was pretty famous, Patrick, back in the day, before your time, the series with Florida State and Miami, when it was the height of college football. And to me, is my big takeaway as well, Bill, is that basically one guy can build a college football powerhouse. I know Bobby Bowden didn't do it alone, but, man, he certainly deserves the bulk of the credit for Florida State becoming what it became. And I put it in the past tense now, because it's not that anymore. And it's not just a given that Florida State stays at the height of college football. That's what we've seen here in the last few years. It's what we've seen with Nebraska. It's what we've seen to a certain degree at Michigan, I think, in the Jim Harbaugh era as well. Texas, you could probably throw in there. It makes the legend of Bobby Bowden, to me, that much more impactful. And also the fact that he's not just remembered as a ultra successful college football coach, he's also remembered as kind of a nice guy. John from Somerville says, I remember that while Bowden was at Florida State, they were a superior team in a mostly sort of clean program. Yeah, the Free Shoes University and the battle with Steve Spurrier and the whole thing in state certainly is part of the story. Don't mean to whitewash it and make it just rainbows and unicorns memory this morning. But no doubt the run of 14 straight years finishing in the top 5 in college football, just absolutely absurd. And Florida State football wasn't a thing before Bobby Bowden got there. And then absolute domination. And those names that you threw out there, Bill, you got to throw in Charlie Ward as one of the best, if not the best college football players that a lot of us have seen in our lifetimes. Incredible what Florida State was, and Bobby Bowden, an incredible coach, an incredible person in his 91 years. Certainly worth remembering and talking about today. The other coaching news from college football standpoint, Will Muschamp looks like he's going to be on the field with Georgia this year, as opposed to that defensive analyst that he got hired for originally, because Scott Cochran, the special teams coordinator, former strength coach over at Alabama, stepping away to deal with some health personal issues. And the report is out there, I think still unconfirmed by Georgia, that Will Muschamp will step in his place. It makes the most sense of all, having Muschamp right there to use and to step into some kind of role, whatever it may be. They might reshuffle. There are a couple other guys on the staff that I think have been special teams coordinators. You know, Muschamp finally got to the point in his Carolina career last year, I feel like, Bill, where he said, yeah, I figured out that I need to stick to what I'm good at. That's defense and special teams. So he takes pride in his special teams background as well, and that might be what he ends up being there. Patrick, you seem confused.
No, I was wondering, is that going to change anything about his pay structure from South Carolina or Georgia?
Nah.
Not from South Carolina, because it was a lump deal. He got his $12 million and was done with it. Not too long after he was let go. A lot of those buyouts, though, are written in that way, right? You get a job, then the other, whatever you're making there, kind of offsets what you get paid in the buyout. That wasn't,
because I thought there were people that were like, make me an analyst, because if I'm an official on-field coach, then things are okay. Man,
so
he's making
it
so much money.
Doesn't apply to Muschamp in this case. And, you would assume if he becomes an on-field assistant, then he'll probably get raised from his $300,000 salary over at Georgia. And to me, it's just the fact that Will Muschamp and Mike Bobo will be going against Carolina this year in important roles. This one more important, obviously, than an analyst might be. But, Bill, I think in your mind, it doesn't do a whole lot to change your perception of Muschamp's role over there at Georgia. Is that right?
No, it's hard for me to believe that Muschamp's just like in an analyst role. I'm not 100% sure what the job of an off-the-field analyst is now that they've started practice. Like, is he allowed to actually be on the field, or again, is he?
I don't think there's any restrictions during practice.
Okay, I've never asked that because, again, remember one of his first off-the-field analysts that I thought was a really good hire was when he came to South Carolina was Ellis Johnson, and I don't know if Ellis Johnson was allowed to be on the field. Obviously, they can be in meeting rooms or.
Now, I remember him walking out there to practice and the whole deal.
Okay, so
there's very little distinction between an analyst and an on-field assistant, except for the recruiting restrictions. Basically,
I mean, he's been cited by several recruits. Now, granted, he can't go off campus to recruit.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, when they've been on campus, he's been cutting up and having a good time with recruits. So we'll see. We'll see what it means for Georgia. I think this is just another fun thing to talk about or break down here as we get closer again. Over the weekend, I was watching Saturday morning. You had South Carolina and Georgia from 2014 was on the SEC network. That was the Dylan Thompson game. And South Carolina wins 38-35 just a few minutes ago. As we started our program, Georgia versus Clemson from 2014 was on. That was Todd Gurley going for 198 yards rushing. Right now, you've got Texas A&M and North Carolina. So we're kind of hitting that part of the offseason here where I'm really starting to get fired up. I got an ESPN Plus account over the weekend, Patrick, and then realized that the Canadian Football League, the game wasn't until like 9:30 on Friday night. Didn't make it. I was kind of tired from the weekend, from the week it was from coaching the basketball camp. But there may be some Canadian Football League viewing coming up here over the next few weeks, along with preseason football.
Who's your team?
Good game. I'm just pulling for a good game. I'm just pulling for something entertaining. I haven't even looked at the rosters to see if there's a Carolina connection or, sometimes you'll look up there and see, what was the quarterback? Was it Darian Durant? Was a long-time quarterback up there for one of the teams. You catch him play. So I'll look to see if South Carolina's got any connections. I know Village Idiot's favorite customer, Justin Sorensen, was on a team for a long time up there. So I don't know if he's still on a team or not either.
Believe so. We're getting all the
Edmonton Elks.
How about that? Patrick's all over it this morning. It's what he does. 803-404-6100 if you would like to join the program. Would love to hear your thoughts, whether it's on the Olympics over the weekend, NFL Hall of Fame inductions, college football right now. Practice number 4 kicking off for Gamecock football a little later on this morning. Set to meet the media afterwards. No one speaking over the weekend, so nothing new coming out of the first 3 practices for Gamecock football, but I'm guessing we'll probably still end up discussing it in some way or another. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
I feel like the Elks is a brand new team. I don't remember that name.
Nope.
That name.
Yep.
Huh?
They got renamed.
Did they?
Yep. A little Washington football team type deal for the Eskimos.
Oh, they used to be the Edmonton Eskimos. Huh.
How many of the 9 CFL teams do you think you could name?
Well,
we have to get city and mascot.
Yeah, I was gonna say city and mascot. I would I know, what is it? The Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Yep. I'm actually only seeing 8. There might be a new one coming.
The Saskatchewan Rough Riders, the Toronto Argonauts, obviously now the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
Is there an Ontario team?
Ottawa.
Is there an Ottawa team?
Alberta.
Is there a British Columbia team?
Calgary Stampede. Is that number 4?
Calgary Stampede.
I think they might be the Stampeders.
Dang it. You're probably right.
That's about all I got. I feel like I'm leaving one that's really good off it.
Is it Montreal? Montreal Alouettes? Is that what they are?
Yep. Well, who did Johnny Manziel play for?
No idea.
Hamilton,
the Tiger Cats.
Oh, yeah.
Tiger
I think
Cats.
Taj Boyd was up there with the old Tiger Cats for a little while.
There's the BC Lions.
BC, yeah. That's British Columbia?
Yeah.
I thought it was a
I guess
BC.
maybe are there 2 Rough Riders?
I don't know.
There's 2 Rough Riders.
We're the real Rough Riders. No, we are.
Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? What is the I'm looking now. You got me looking to see what the NFL preseason schedule is this week.
Washington kicks off on Thursday.
Is it Washington on Thursday? Oh, you got 2 Thursday night games. Yeah, Washington at New England is the NFL Network game.
They're gonna start being like every day for the next couple of weeks. They really they don't worry about days of the week.
Who? The NFL?
Yeah, for preseason, they'll play games on Wednesdays and stuff, I think.
I don't think so. Like this week, it's only Thursday through Sunday. Next week is Thursday through Monday.
What?
Week 3 is and there is only I forgot there's only 3 weeks this year. Yeah,
there's
then week 3
weeks.
is Friday through Sunday.
Let me see.
Carlton, I'm just looking this up. That is inaccurate information, I believe, sir.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up. I mean, he was like not even good.
No, you don't have to say that.
I mean, he had 1,000, didn't even have 1,000 career rushing yards, and he was a running back.
Yeah. Hunter, I'm told that Tim prefers me be in the dark so that he doesn't have to. And Jen probably also preferred they don't have to look at me.
I don't know that it's that specific, or I've tried to dance around it, but okay.
What are you talking about, Hunter? First of all, we're not real streamers. Secondly, you would rather look at Bill's face than the sunrise over Lake Murray? Are you serious?
Also, there are times people don't need to see my face and the reaction I make with some phone calls or other stuff.
And Hunter, have you ever contributed anything positive to the live stream, or you're just coming in just like that on Bill? How rude. Well, you did add the lake is beautiful, but then the lighting is terrible.
Well, that balances out.
I'm a good-looking guy. People want to look at me.
Attaboy. Not taking himself seriously. I like it. He's in on the show. He gets it.
It's one of those things where, you insult somebody or talk poorly about somebody, but then you say bless their heart, and that just kind of balances back. Same kind of thing.
I think Danny Ford dropped that in the Hunt Ruski story there that I watched yesterday, the ESPN telling of it.
What was it?
Oh,
bless his heart.
Wait,
Leroy Butler, bless his heart. He ran right beside me. I should have tackled him. Let's do that Dawn Staley one. Number 7, please, coming back. I'll do a quick liner first.
Okay.
Mostly positive. I like mostly positive. Semi-positive.
Ezra.
Getting closer to football season. That means we're getting closer to teeing it up at Charwood Golf Club on August 27th. It's Friday, 10 a.m. Mark your calendars. Love to have you out there for the 14th anniversary celebration sponsored by Integrated Media, where we're going to have Little Pigs lunch, raise some money for Camp Cole, give away a trip to Kiowa for the winning team, raffle off a pair of Gamecock football versus East Illinois season opener tickets, I should say. Just give Charwood a call to register, 803-755-2000. That's 755-2000 to join that 14th anniversary golf tournament Friday, August 27th, 10 a.m. Right now, I wanted to let you hear from another gold medal win for the first time head coach, I guess, first time doing it as a head coach in the Olympics in Carolina's Dawn Staley, who says this will also be the last time she does it.
Our country has a lot of great coaches that can get the job done. You know, me being a part of
I'm surprised to hear this. What about you guys, that Dawn Staley at this point in her career, where it could be continued to be a huge recruiting tool as well, or certainly it doesn't hurt you in recruiting when you're the Team USA head coach, and feel like we saw Coach K do it for years and years and years, that she's stepping away from her Team USA head coaching duties after this gold medal. You guys surprised at all, Bill? What do you think?
Well, she's been around it for a long time, as an assistant, as a player, now as a head coach. I don't know. You know, it's kind of an interesting thing on obviously she's not playing, so I don't want to say wear and tear on the body, but you know, at some point I'm sure that that is something, just a little bit of downtime for her. Now trying again. Look, she's a great coach. I think everybody would agree you need to win a few more national championships. And I don't think that that's unrealistic, and I think it's something that very well could happen over the next several years, but that needs to be the focus, right? I don't know what she gets paid for the Olympics, but she's accomplished pretty much all she can accomplish there with the Olympics. There's still, I think, more to accomplish for South Carolina basketball and maybe even in her own career. She's got her sights set on, I know that her name was at least mentioned. I don't know how serious of a candidate she was for the Portland Trail Blazers. And, you know, I think there was an article at least written about the Philadelphia 76ers. So I feel like she's done all she can there. I can see why she would probably be willing to step away. I imagine that spending 4 years prepping and getting your team together or working with the basketball committee there to prepare everything can be a little exhausting. So I guess to me, it makes sense. She's done all she can. It's time to focus on other things.
Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised. I mean, she probably feels like, at least from the recruiting side, she's got this thing rolling, and once it turns into a machine, it just keeps going. Was Gino Auriemma ever the head coach? Was he the head coach when she was an assistant? Or
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone has, I guess, used that platform to help bolster their program. But I think she understands that she's got this program on very strong footing, and I have no idea what the job requirements of the USA basketball coach is. I mean, I don't know how often she's flying out to Colorado Springs or the headquarters, or is she coaching every year? Are they doing camps and things like that? I know from the men's side, I think it's mostly like Jerry Colangelo is the president, and he picks out I think he does a lot of picking up the rosters and coordinating that stuff. So I don't know what Dawn Staley actually has to do, but fly to Colorado every couple of months, every year. I don't know how many times a year it is. But I can definitely see how that would be annoying if you are just really busy and you're like, all right, well, I got all these things on my plate with my own program, but I got to fly out to go watch this one practice or do 2 or 3 days of training. I can see that. I can see that being a strain. So it's not a surprise. She's won every gold medal since 1996. She's in a good place, and somebody else can take over. She's right. It doesn't necessarily matter for the USA women's basketball team who's the head coach when you look at just the physical domination that they had down low with people like Wilson and Brittany Griner. So, 51 years old. She could have done it for a while more. I personally would have just wanted to do one more and go to Paris just because I would love to be in an Olympics in Paris. And then I would have called it quits, but I can't blame her. I'm not surprised. She's had her whole life has been dedicated to basketball, and then international and professional and college basketball pretty much 24/7 for the last 30 years. So I can't blame her.
I mean, when you're that dominant, just go on top, it's gold all the way.
I think also the fact that this year was as unique as it was, or this Olympics, I should say, that ended up being an extra year. And it had to take its toll, I would think, on everybody involved. And you were mentioning the men's side of things, Patrick. The women has this thing rolling how I feel like Team USA men's basketball used to be, where they still get the best players no matter what. There's no load management involved. There's no, we'll let other people do it. I would imagine if it goes the same, if it trends the same way as the men's program has, eventually some of these best players, like maybe it will be Asia Wilson and Brittany Griner, not the next Olympics, but the one after that, right? Saying, hey, we've already done that. We'll step aside, even though we're the best players in the world. We'll let some others do it. It seems like that will have to be the natural evolution of this thing. And I can certainly understand not wanting to be there and deal with that.
Do you know anything about the money associated with playing with this? Because that's the whole thing with the men is just it's recruiting, basically. Like all Colangelo does is recruit. Please play this year. We need you. And for the men, it's like I just made $40 million. Or in the case of Steph Curry, I'm making $53 million next year. I don't need to do this. I'm not putting my body at risk or for anything like that. And obviously the money's just not as big in the WNBA. So if the financial incentive is actually meaningful to them, I have no idea. I couldn't even begin to guess what they make to go to the Olympics.
This is a Wall Street Journal article from 2019, December of 2019, and it's basically saying they make roughly about $1 million, give or take, per play.
Each player?
Let's see. Wait a minute. The marketplace for the best women's basketball players in the world is a curious one. They can make more than $1 million when they play in Russia, China, and Turkey. So I guess more.
Well, yeah, no, I know that's a problem. Professionally, they play in the offseason.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking to see.
Because I think Brianna Stewart got hurt playing international basketball in the WNBA offseason because she had to play in multiple professional leagues at the same time.
Well, it didn't have to, but it just made sense.
Well, yeah.
Make them a bunch more money that way. We'll try to look up the specifics in Team USA financial incentives as we roll on. We kick off the second half of the program coming up next. Hear the best from the induction ceremony speeches at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's up next. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
That time of the year, getting ready to go back to school for the kids, maybe doing some things to kind of set yourself up for the end of the year. One of those things needs to be looking at your mortgage statement, seeing what that interest rate is, maybe how much you pay, how much equity you have in your home. It might be a golden opportunity to refinance your house right now. And to start the process, just give the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank, a phone call today, 803-719-1005. You can email him the letter J, Crowder, Crowder at firstpalmetto.com. Again, you don't know how much you can save until you make that 5-minute phone call. See what the interest rates are, if you can be approved, and then you can move on from there. But it's a quick phone call, and Jacob and Brian Kovar, the Mortgage Guru team with First Palmetto Bank, are ready to help you. 803-719-1005. Again, that's Jacob's cell phone, so you can give him a phone call. You can shoot him a text message. And again, you can email him the letter J, Crowder, Crowder at firstpalmetto.com is the way to do that. Don't miss out on a golden opportunity, or as Brian Kovar says, don't get caught watching the paint dry. Call Jacob Crowder, the Mortgage Guru, today, 803-719-1005. What you fixing, cutie? Toast? Okay. All right, if I step away to get coffee, is it going to flash on y'all here? Is the sun in a bad spot? I don't think so. Yes, it is.
Whoa. I'm reading right now. Players are not directly paid for playing in the Olympics. Expenses met and get a per diem, but no salary.
But it looked like it was that Wall Street Journal article was a little confusing. There was a couple parts to it.
I remember hearing that the USOC, I thought, was paying for medals. I thought I remembered the figure $125,000 for a gold, but that might be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm looking it up. There are medal bonuses. As part of Operation Gold, U.S. Olympians receive $37,000 for golds, 22 for silvers, and 15 for bronze.
There you
go. Singapore offers $1 million Singaporean dollars for a gold medal.
Right, but how much is that?
$750,000 US.
Whoa, I didn't see that coming.
That's the highest prize for an individual gold medal that a country awards.
And I missed that. How much was that?
$1 million Singaporean dollars, 750,000 US. We offer 37,000 for gold.
Thank you, Hunter. I was just talking about the old live chat here. Hadn't seen the first and last name attached here. Guessing maybe texted or you're saying tweeted. Keep an eye out.
Did you watch any Ted Lasso over the weekend?
Pretty sensitive. Yeah, I'm caught up. What was the last episode? Oh yeah, that was interesting. The last one, getting into the politics of it all. What'd you think? Did you see it?
Yeah, I watched it last night. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of a throwaway episode. Led Hasso.
Hey, I like that, man. I liked it.
But yeah, talking about the I don't know. To me, it was a different episode than what I've seen through the first 12, I guess. 10 last year.
So, Patrick, how long are you waiting until you're going to bench it? You're going to wait till the end of the season?
No, I'll probably start soon now. The Olympics are over. A couple weeks till football. I'll probably just get it going. There's 3 out. Is that it?
3 is out. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I started Cocaine Cowboys. There's a new
the 6-parter.
You watch it?
No, I saw it. I want to watch that too.
First episode and a half is what I lost, or episode and plus a little bit. And it'll never beat the original documentary, but it's still pretty good.
Is it just a retelling of the same story in a different?
Well, there's so many different angles of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is doing. They used a lot of old ESPN video. Actually, I guess 2 of these main dudes were like national and international speedboat champs.
Nice.
They funded it with their drug money. Crazy. They said what sticks with me is that there was a dude. These guys had moved from Miami to LA and then back to Miami because they were wanted. They just used different names and stuff. And somebody was watching over in LA, like an FBI guy, and like, hey, that's the guy who's wanted. There he is.
How long is it? An hour? 6 episodes that are an hour?
We're back in 4.
And lines of men should be locked up. I represent us. I'm forever immortalized, locked up in the County Correctional Institution. Inmate number 336 in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My career started with disco jacket. Good night and God bless.
Edgerrin James ending his induction ceremony speech in a big way on Saturday night.
To me, the best speech of the weekend in the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremonies in a lot of different ways. Just the overall message there, the delivery of it, how he ramped it up. That was good stuff. Drew Pearson started things off on Sunday with a bunch of energy. Peyton Manning involved as well yesterday, and kind of more of a plea to protect the game of football. And then, like we mentioned a little bit earlier on, Megatron, Calvin Johnson had South Carolina character and player development director Derek Moore introducing him, and he went on his perspective of plant-based help for dealing with pain and the whole thing. So there was a lot that went on in the pro football induction ceremonies. Guys, what I take away in general was kind of what I was hoping to take away going into the Hall of Fame game on Thursday night, just a celebration of football and the feel that it was a lot closer to what I remember in 2019 around these ceremonies and going into the season than it was last year, Bill, with all the question marks we still had at this time last season.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. It's fun to watch. I didn't watch a lot of what was going on this weekend in terms of the actual speeches. but getting more fired up. Just again, I think watching football and some of the replays that I watched this past weekend, that was actually a lot of fun. But in terms of where we're at compared to last year, man, it to me, at least right now, it feels different. It feels like we're heading toward a normal football season. Again, it was really cool last Thursday night to see the fans in the stands there at Canton, Ohio, and to see kind of the energy behind it. That felt normal. I'm sitting here this morning watching, or at least I've got on the television over here in front of me, I've got North Carolina and Texas A&M in the Orange Bowl. And, I'm rewatching an Orange Bowl game that should have been a lot of fun, but was limited. Capacity was limited there for that bowl game. So as I look over here and look at the television and see that football game and then listen to what the clip we just played with a lot of people there, Patrick and I off air, we're cutting up about the Canadian Football League, and we're over here trying to name teams because the Canadian Football League is up and running. We got preseason that starts or has started, but will really get going in full this coming Thursday. It feels like we're heading toward a normal season, despite, I guess, some things that are going on out there around us.
Gamecock practice number 4 set for today. And again, no real public comments after the first 3 practices from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll have a handful of players available to the media after today's workout. So more news will continue to trickle out around Gamecock practice specifically. That has to start without shoulder pads and just helmets, and you have to acclimate to the season and the whole deal, just like everybody in college football. And speaking of that, a legend remembered over the weekend as Bobby Bowden, the Florida State head coach, passed away at the age of 91, second most all-time wins. Punt Ruski. If you don't know the Punt Ruski, and even if you do, it's certainly worth checking out. Heath Klein has retweeted the story. I think it's about a 4-minute story on exactly how that went down. I think it might have been 1989 where Florida State rolled into the Death Valley, first ever top 10 game. Just the fact that Florida State and Clemson played the first ever top 10 game in Clemson in the late 80s. It's kind of mind-boggling for a lot of us knowing what that program is now. But the way that Bobby Bowden built that program and then sustained it, 14 top 5 finishes in a row, an amazing run. And an amazing person, I think, is what I take away from all the memories. Former Carolina head coach Brad Scott been in the news as one of those remembering Bobby Bowden for the longtime relationship he had with him as the offensive coordinator there at Florida State. And a bunch of old former players popping up, Deion Sanders, Steve Spurrier, have all remembered Bobby Bowden at 91 years old. A tremendous legacy left for sure. And then to get back to current college football news, it's Scott Cochran stepping away as the special teams coordinator. He's a former strength coach at Alabama, but had become the special teams coordinator for Kirby Smart at Georgia, stepping away to deal with a health issue. That means it looks like, reportedly, Will Muschamp will step on the field as an assistant coach for Georgia at this point. Again, no official news, no official timetable set for this thing. So who knows if Muschamp is technically an on-field assistant for the Georgia-Carolina game, as Mike Bobo, we do know, will be for Auburn as the offensive coordinator there. It's just, it shows me that, this couldn't be more classic Muschamp, could it? Because of kind of the revolving logo that's been on his chest. Sports Illustrated did the article about who's the most SEC guy, and Will Muschamp kind of won by a landslide a couple of years ago when he was still the head coach at South Carolina. And now,
especially now that Texas is going to be in the SEC.
Right, add that one back in as more experience there. You can't make this kind of stuff up. Just I know Gamecock Larry was all fired up about it a little bit earlier on in the program. I'm guessing most Gamecock fans will be a little bit ambivalent to this, Bill, not necessarily too fired up. Where do you think? I know you mentioned that you're going to call him an analyst, going to call him an assistant coach. It's kind of the same thing to you.
Yeah, this will be fake outrage here for a little while until we can actually get to football season. Just let's still yell at Will Muschamp. We talked about what we got into Muschamp a little bit on Friday, just analyzing some stuff from Thursday and the media day that was, and people are like, oh, let's move on. I don't want to hear anymore about this Muschamp guy. I don't want to. That's it. It's time to get out of there with him and move forward into the future. Understandably so, but there'll be a little bit of fake outrage here for what, maybe 48, 72 hours, give us something to talk about. Although I was just getting my emails in here, so I see that today, it looks like after practice, there will be post-practice media availability for South Carolina. I'm looking to see who exactly it is. It is Jalen Brooks, Kevin Harris, Chad Terrell, and Josh Vance. I don't know if there's any coaches or anybody like that, or just the student athletes expected to participate. So that'll give us something to hear about, especially 3 wide receivers. Listening to them talk about Justin Stepp, and then of course Kevin Harris. We find more out about this minor back procedure that he had, and maybe that'll move on the conversation away from whatever Muschamp's doing at Georgia.
803-404-6100 is the number into the program. Hear from Don Staley about winning that gold medal with Team USA when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The Game is on everywhere. On the air, online, on your phone or tablet, on the app. Listen.
Banana peel, chicken, and blueberries. That was on my floor last night when the 1-year-old had dinner and then decided he was done. But he signals that by just chucking everything on the floor. I have a more intimate relationship with my floors these days because of that 16-month-old, and it makes me appreciate the job that Zero Res carpet and air duct cleaning has done for me at my house that much more. Zero Res has come out to my house a couple of times, cleaned my carpets and area rug for me, freshened up the tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom, done a great job, giving me great professional-looking results. That fresh, new home feel when they leave is what sticks with me the most. Also, the fact that I have nothing to worry about for Zero Res's specific patented powered water cleaning process, because there are no harsh chemicals involved, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer, and yours can as well. Right now, take advantage of their summer special. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119, plus a free hallway as you're getting your kids maybe getting ready to go back to school. Get your house feeling and looking its best with Zero Res. You can give them a call at 803-262-4020. Book your appointment right now online at ZeroResColumbia.com. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Of quality, shepherdsglass.com. No major tie-ups to speak of this morning. Man, it's been a great Monday morning so far. And weather-wise, should be much of this.
Morning, Hope. I'm guessing Jen might have seen that. You saw it, Patrick?
Yeah.
Whoa, you're in IndyCar now too, not just F1?
No, I saw it on Twitter, but I thought that was I saw the name Erickson. It was somebody named Erickson, and I thought it was maybe the guy from F1, the F1 show. It was not. Different Erickson. But yeah, I saw it. Flew right over top of him and kept going. I don't know if he finished the race or not, but it was a wild scene.
Jen, did you see that car DC's talking about?
I actually did not see that one. I saw some other crashes. I kind of was watching it half the time. It was a fun race. You know, it was obviously very new and different, and there were a lot more incidences than I think typically happen. But I need to go back and watch, because that's definitely seen that before in different races. You know,
was that in Nashville?
Yeah, on the streets of Nashville, going over that bridge and everything. Pretty fun.
It was wild. Everyone was going slow, and then just out of nowhere, it looked like he just accidentally thought he was stepping on the brake and hit the gas and just drove over a guy. His front wing was all ripped up, and the back guy's spoiler or whatever it's called was crushed.
Was Dario Franchitti that did that one time? I want to say it was at Indy, but yeah, just no clue. Juan Pablo Montoya, I think, did that one time and went into the back of one of the dryer trucks.
I don't know how that happens when you're supposed to be going slow.
Yeah, it's if they, whether they come around a bend, whether there's no communication, what happens. I mean, the flashing lights on the back of the cars tells you there's a caution.
Yeah.
I need to look that up.
I would like to get into one of those cars and just see if I physically would know how to drive it. Like, I don't think I would.
You a stick guy?
I have no idea how to drive stick. No.
That
So,
would be your
no
first
is
problem.
No, but they don't even have real wheels. They have like, it looks like a Nintendo Switch or something is put on the.
And then they have paddle shifters. You know, they're not
right.
on the floor. It's paddle shifters, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that has invested in the car would allow you in the car.
Seems fair.
They wouldn't allow me in there. I know that. Not a stick guy.
Yeah, like that. I would have no idea what to do with that. It looks like a video game controller.
I was gonna say that's the wheel.
Yeah.
That's what the F1 thing looks like. I don't know if IndyCar is the same. Let's see.
It's similar.
Too many lights. I'd lose focus too quickly.
Well, you figure they have to have everything there because they cannot, really get their hand off the wheel. So, you have your volume controls and you have.
It is important to have your volume control with what kind of radio program you're listening to.
Right. And also, you're going to go CD or you're going to go regular FM, AM?
I think they've got a Bluetooth. He's got whoever it is, they got their cell phone hooked up, probably Amazon Music.
Yeah, playing Word with
It
Friends.
is insane how dialed into everything they are. When I was watching the F1 race 2 weekends ago, they were talking about how the helicopter flying above the race was too low and it was giving them dirty air and giving them like some sort of airflow issue. I was like, what? Just one helicopter filming the race? They were like, tell that helicopter it needs to go higher. Like, what? How can they notice every little thing?
Yeah. They're on the edge. One of those steering wheels is about $90,000 last I saw in F1.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's like in that Cocaine Cowboys episode, one of the guys that interviewed as a pilot who was one of those speedboat drivers, and he's like, you can feel it in your butt, like how you can just feel the whole thing.
Dang.
Let's do the Don Staley number 7 here, please. Sorry, number 6. We might have to cut it short if you need to.
Okay.
Straight on in, please.
Yep. The two of them, it's just a level of comfort. You don't have a winning basketball game.
And it's funny that we sit here and we talk about their personalities. They both are leaders in different ways. Sue probably talks a little bit more than Diana. When Diana speaks, she's speaking from her heart. And it is taken in the same context because of their style. I think
our players really understand the same order of USA basketball. It is the older ones you lead, and the younger ones you follow, and you take notes. But certainly, I know the start of this winning occurred before them. But they finished it off. They took the torch and they took it to another level, and they just are putting so much pressure on the next coach and the next players to perform at a high level. And I'll say this too. I'm done as well. Does that feel good, Tony? It feel good. Come on, man. So who else is going to sit on this podium in 2024? Without I'm not.
Almost an accidental retirement speech, it sounded like, from Dawn Staley after that 6th gold medal for her, the 7th straight for Team USA women's basketball, talking about Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird leading the way. They set a record with their 5th
45
team gold medal as well, and Dawn Staley now stepping away. We'll continue to discuss that as we roll into hour number 3 here. Also plenty of football news and notes to get into with the Will Muschamp transitioning from analyst to on-field assistant over at Georgia. Someone just hit us up and said, as soon as I heard Tim say that, I just got outraged. This is from Trey. Then I realized 30 seconds later that I'm an adult that has bigger fish to fry. York says, hopefully we as Gamecock fans don't do a Brad Scott where Boom is concerned. Once you fire a guy, you don't get to manage his future. Interesting ideas. Rolling into hour 3 here on the early game on 107.5. And you guys are setting a record this morning for yawns, I think.
Yeah.
Yesterday was.
We
all right, Jen, you want to hop off real quick and we'll cut this sleep number?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Later, taters.
What were we going to say?
Papa just said, any thoughts on men's basketball only winning by 5 against France?
Thoughts are that is exactly what Team USA basketball is in our country.
Yeah. Thoughts are, yeah, they won the gold medal. I mean, it's a 40-minute game. You can't win every game by 30 points.
To a team that had beaten them before.
Yeah.
I mean,
and starts all NBA players who are also better primed for the international game than Americans are.
Right.
2 hours in, we haven't even talked about Messi.
Nope. Nor do I plan on it. That's the
2-year deal. 2-year deal with PSG. Had a very emotional final press conference at Barcelona.
Cool. Could not care less.
It's arguably the greatest player of all time, who's been with the club for 21 years. In the world's largest sport.
Yep, the world's. Is it larger than cricket? Has that been measured?
It's much larger than cricket. South Carolina's not part of the world anymore.
A very small part. I would say South Carolina is as much a part of the world as the soccer conversation is a part of our sports world.
Not even that much.
You're saying the soccer conversation is larger than South Carolina is part of the world?
Yeah, I don't think people in like Kazakhstan know that South Carolina exists.
A lot of people don't know that there's a North and South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
We certainly don't know. Yeah.
They just know the Carolina Panthers or something.
Right. Cam Newton, that's all they know about Carolina.
Probably. We didn't talk about Darius Leonard yet either. Darius Leonard got paid.
Yes, he did. 98.5. Pretty strong. All he did is the comments I saw were him wearing his cowboy hat.
Talking about his kids?
Not nearly as well as you wear your cowboy hat, though, Patrick.
Were you watching the video of him talking about his kids?
Nope, I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. We can mention it. He's basically got paid because of, obviously he's a great player, but I mean he's clearly just an awesome, like a very necessary part of that locker room.
No doubt. Especially now that it's getting torn apart.
Yeah, the video that I saw of him talking, they were like, what is it, what does this mean that like you grew up poor and your kids will never have to worry about anything? And he went on this like long speech about how, yeah, I mean, it's awesome, but my kids are going to learn the value of working for things, and I'm not there. I can give them any number of money in the world, but it's not going to change that they need to work for everything they're going to get and learn the value of that and things like that. Was a good answer.
That sounds amazing. Let's get it on the show.
I can see if I can.
Stephen Holder here. Let's see the quality here. See if I can get a better quality version of this. That's the one that I saw about seeing the rankings. Chandler Mack put up. Let's see if I can get a better quality version.
How about check Stephen Holder? Holder Stephen?
Yeah, that's what I got. It's just, it's not the best
quality.
You can hear it, but you can tell the audio is not from the mic.
Yeah. If the Colts website doesn't publish all of
Pretty good. On a different day, we definitely get it in.
What are we discussing? I heard y'all were discussing cowboy hats there for a second, and then
If Bill hadn't screwed everything up, we'd have been done sooner.
it's a Monday. It's a Monday.
Bill, for some reason, I can't hear you. Patrick, you hearing him?
I hear him.
Oh,
I hear Bill.
I just went out.
Okay,
Reload here.
Oh. We were talking about Darius Leonard, Bill.
Talking about who?
Darius Leonard.
Oh. Gotcha. Yeah, I popped on. I came back and heard y'all talking about a cowboy hat and a 98.5 or something like that.
I think I can hear you guys. Yep.
Have y'all ever been whitewater rafting? Whitewater rafting thing?
Have not. Jenny, can we do 5 here?
The fact that it was a gold medal game had a equally focused effort by our players. So happy that we have 2 legends here on our team to will us into a gold medal game and to get the win.
Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, who Dawn Staley is talking about there, and Gamecock head coach coming home with her being a part of a 6th gold medal Team USA team, 5 in a row for both Bird and Taurasi, setting the Olympic record for team gold medals in any sport. Impressive stuff for Team USA women's basketball, a 15-point win over Japan in that gold medal game, and it was just unfair in a lot of ways. 6'8" Brittany Griner going against 5'4" players from Japan, and Asia Wilson having her way down low as well. Got to give her a ton of credit for adding to the ridiculous resume and doing it on her 25th birthday yesterday. So you win a high school state championship at Heathwood Hall. You are the #1 recruit in the country. You come to Carolina, all SEC as a freshman, All-American, national champion, now gold medal winner after being the WNBA Player of the Year, WNBA MVP. Just a ridiculous resume, continues to grow for Asia Wilson. I guess it's one of the reasons she got a statue right outside the Colonial Life Arena, and just adding to her legend, as is Dawn Staley, who kind of almost felt like it was accidentally. We played the clip a little bit earlier in the show, a few minutes ago, Bill, announcing that she's going to step away as Team USA head coach moving forward. And also in her podium comments that you heard a little bit of just a few seconds ago there, mentioning that she's trying to get her program to be a lot like Team USA, and the old NIL won't be helping that, the new name, image, and likeness revenue that players will get. But the fact that Team USA on the women's side still gets the best players, and they're able to accept roles on the team accordingly and not have to be the best player game in and game out. And that's basically what she's trying to create at South Carolina. And she's done that in a lot of ways. I feel like, Bill, with what is it, 4 McDonald's All-Americans coming in this year or something incredible. And we'll kind of be doing the college version of Team USA in a lot of ways with Gamecock basketball moving forward, and certainly wants to keep that model going and that level and kind of raise that bar of a level of success when it comes to the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I mean, career accomplishments, as driven as Dawn Staley is, I think she's very happy with one national championship. And I think, if something happened and she had to end her coaching career today, I would probably say that she would feel satisfied. But I think being the competitor that we've seen from Dawn Staley, I don't think she's happy with one championship. I think she wants multiple. And so to me, this is the thought of, hey, I've done everything I can do for Olympic basketball. Now it's time to really, 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 for the next 10 years, focus in on South Carolina. Again, maybe she's got aspirations of coaching. She does have aspirations of coaching in the NBA, and maybe that. So I think, as Patrick said, we don't really know the time constraints that she has to put forth with USA basketball. I do know, Patrick, I don't think she's flying out to Colorado Springs. I think that's where it's at. I don't think she's flying out to Colorado because they did
they did a training camp in Columbia, right?
Yeah, they had the training camp here. Anytime, matter of fact, again, going back, I was looking at that article from the Wall Street Journal from 2019, and it mentioned Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and a couple others sitting at a cafe in Columbia, South Carolina, and drawing up some kind of contract that we were talking about how they were going to get paid anyway for playing for the Olympic team. So everybody was coming to Columbia anyway, but there still has got to be time constraints that, keep her extremely busy when she's not focused on South Carolina basketball. Maybe a little bit of downtime is not the worst thing.
Look, you can certainly make the argument that yesterday was the most notable day in female sports history when it comes to Columbia, South Carolina, or those associated with Columbia for sure. Asia being from here, Asia Wilson, Dawn Staley, obviously coaching at Carolina with the gold medal for Team USA women's basketball. And then Jensen Castle comes out of nowhere. She went to high school, then grade collegiate after that, plays her college golf at the University of Kentucky, was in a 12-person playoff or play-in just to get into the field of 64. There were 2 spots. There were 12 kind of qualifiers for those last 2 spots. She got in, so she got the number 63 seed for the U.S. women's amateur out of 64, and then went on to win the thing. And did it yesterday on the 35th hole against a golfer from the University of Arizona. Congratulations to Jensen Castle, and what a story it is to win such a prestigious event in the U.S. women's amateur on the golf course. I saw your boy Bryson DeChambeau had a chance to win the St. Jude yesterday and then kind of blew up, and he continues to struggle a little bit, or we always say struggle, and that's like Papa Joe hit us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Any comments about the Team USA men only winning by 5 in the gold medal game? I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Bryson DeChambeau, right? He doesn't win a tournament, so he struggles. He's still one of the best golfers in the world, but it's still fun to see him look like a mere mortal at times and not necessarily dominate in the world of golf. At least it is for me, Bill. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I did watch some of that yesterday. Abraham Answer coming back to win. What I missed is I walked away. Harris English was up by like 2 strokes, and I came back, and I honestly never went back to see what exactly happened to him. It looked like he was going to cruise to victory, and just, I guess, absolutely came apart there on the back 9. So was what it was. DeChambeau is DeChambeau. I did watch him a good bit, and of course now he's kind of blaming everybody else. Thankfully this time he didn't blame the clubs, right? That's a step in the right direction.
Well, good for Bryson. He's really evolving before our eyes. Speaking of that, Gamecock football fans, the news coming out, a report that Will Muschamp is going to step in at the University of Georgia in an on-field assistant coaching role now that Scott Cochran, the former Alabama strength coach who is the special teams coordinator at Georgia, is stepping away for a health issue. Gamecock fans have seen this before to some degree, right? Let Brad Scott go after a 1-10 season, and he's immediately hired by in-state rival Clemson, and that is bad blood. This is different, though, right, Bill? And York hit us up again. He said, hopefully we don't do a Brad Scott where Boom is concerned. Once you fire a guy, you don't get to manage his future. Richard putting it even more kindly. Really glad for Muschamp. Not sure why Gamecock fans would care what he's doing now. Good guy. Wish him the best, and most of all, glad he's not here anymore coaching. I think it might be that last part, and then also that Carolina fans just saw this with the coach before him, right? It's almost as soon. I know Steve Spurrier was an ambassador for South Carolina for, I don't know, was it even a month after he left? Then basically accepted the same role down at the University of Florida. Being a Florida alum, it was kind of natural for Steve Spurrier to do that. To me, for Will Muschamp being a Georgia alum, this is kind of natural as well. I think the part with Brad Scott and Clemson was that he had not had any kind of Clemson ties, I think, and immediately kind of jumped ship to the rival there was part of that big issue. Also, the fact that Clemson beat Carolina the next year, carried them off on the shoulders kind of deal didn't help with that. But how are you seeing this Will Muschamp news, Bill?
I mean, again, to me, it's something that maybe is discussed today, maybe tomorrow. But again, I'm trying to look. I don't think any coaches for South Carolina are talking today. I think it's just the 4 players, because I think when you get some media availability and we turn our attention back to what's happening at South Carolina with preseason camp, everybody kind of forgets about what's going on with Will Muschamp. I mean, unless he for some reason has to speak to the media and mentions South Carolina or something along those lines. Yeah, I don't see him really being a topic of conversation, maybe for a few hours today, just because he's a guy that South Carolina will continue to see. And we do know that there are still some hard feelings, not necessarily as people have texted in by all Gamecock fans, but by a lot of them. There is some hard feelings there for Will Muschamp, and it'll be something to discuss. But again, 11:30 this morning, it says the door will be unlocked. So they will allow the media in to talk to players. And, again, Kevin Harris is going to be one of those guys. So quite frankly, Tim, Patrick, Jen, y'all would probably agree. Kevin Harris addressing the minor back issue that he had that Shane Beamer brought up last week. That'll probably be more of a story tomorrow than Will Muschamp.
Well, September 18th, when Georgia comes to Williams-Brice, certainly that week, I'm guessing this will get talked about a little bit more.
In South Georgia, you mean when South Carolina
goes to Athens, right? So maybe it will be a little different at that point, but a lot of that might depend on how Carolina does in the first couple of games. And of course, all football coaches and players can use the whole, we're in the middle of the preseason practice right now, and we're worried about us and focused on us and the whole thing there. So I'm with you on that. And Hot Sauce Ross kind of brings up, Patrick, what you brought up a little bit earlier. And I think the only thing that Gamecock fans would be most concerned with, does that mean we get to pay him less in his buyout? Ross asks on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line at 803-404-6100. And no, that was a lump sum paid out, and it's not like some of those other buyouts that you were kind of referring to earlier, Patrick, where the money can be deferred if they're making it at another job, and you don't have to pay that out. Muschamp's situation was different in a lot of ways, and came with a lot of criticism, I think, from the Carolina administration. And he's got his money, he got his check, and now, again, this has not even been made official at Georgia. I don't think that he's going to step in as an on-field assistant yet, but was set to make $300,000 as the senior defensive analyst, I think was his title, before they might make some transition over there. And even if he does pop in, who knows whether it will be that special teams coordinator role or they'll shuffle things up. Kirby Smart has flexibility. One of the reasons why it made sense to bring Muschamp on in that analyst role for sure. Remembering Bobby Bowden, also something that we need to do this morning. He passed away yesterday at the age of 91, absolute college football legend at Florida State, 14 consecutive top 5 finishes for the Seminoles back in the day, a record that will be very tough to match. Even Alabama hasn't done that in the last 14 years or so. So the Punt Rooski video, I know, retweeted by Heath Klein. You might want to check that out if you're unfamiliar, or even if you are familiar with that, I certainly enjoyed watching about 4.5 minutes or so, recounting the punt Ruski back in the day against Clemson in the first ever top 10 matchup at Death Valley, where Bobby Bowden has the guts to call a fake punt in a tie game at his own 21-yard line late in that ball game that helped add to his legend, which I think, to me, the big thing I take from that is he's remembered for treating people well and being kind as a college football head coach. Not easy to do in a lot of ways. 803-404-6100, again, is the number into the program. Just getting rolling here in hour number 3 on a Monday morning as football season gets closer and closer. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again.
Fun to talk about football, gives us something to look forward to, such as tailgating. And the question I would have for you, do you have your tailgating vehicle lined up for the season? Because if you don't, now's the time to get over to Love Chevrolet and check out what they've got going on. Right now, it's no secret that the worldwide computer chip shortage has reduced the number of vehicles available for sale, but at Love Chevrolet, it's not that much different. The difference is, unlike other dealerships, Love Chevrolet is not suddenly tacking on extra add-ons to the price of their new cars to take advantage of customers during this time of high demand and low supply. Nope, at Love Chevrolet, it's business as usual, providing the absolute largest selection, the lowest price guaranteed, and always treating their customer with the utmost respect and integrity. That's what South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer has been doing since they opened their doors over 60 years ago. So you want to go visit them. I trust them. I was out there weeks ago getting my Tahoe serviced. Between the sales staff, between the low price guarantee, the selection, there's no reason you shouldn't go visit Love Chevrolet as well. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Patrick, what's the off-air commentary about Messi going to PSG?
PSG's got a lot of expectation now. They were already a really good team, but that front line of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe is going to be ridiculous. They've had a really good transfer window with free signings, several free signings, free transfers. And now they're going to have one of the highest payrolls, maybe the highest payroll in the world. And it's going to be a Champions League title or bust. They are loaded. It was
okay.
Messi was pretty emotional yesterday, saying his goodbyes to Barcelona.
I saw that. 21 years, some way connected with Barcelona.
Yep.
How old is he?
34. It's a little bit different when you play like 10 years with a pro team, like the team that drafted you or whatever, but he quite literally went from a child to a grown man with kids in Barcelona. So I can imagine that being very, very emotional for him. Flying in from Argentina at 13 and then becoming the greatest of all time. I'm a Ronaldo guy, though.
And why is that?
I just like Ronaldo. I think his game is more aesthetically pleasing. He's a freak athlete, creative.
Electric?
He's more electric, yeah. Messi is like does some pretty jaw-dropping stuff, though. Like, Messi will just dribble into a crowd, and then you'll just see him dribble out, and you're like, I had no idea what just happened. Ronaldo wants to break people's ankles.
Oh. All right, heading back in.
And Ronaldo's cooler.
And let's do 1 and then 2, please.
Okay.
Straight on in.
Straight in.
Derek Moore, my team chaplain for Georgia Tech and spiritual mentor. It was my spiritual stability that you helped me discover while in college that became key for me in life. Your energy is contagious.
5.
And I'm grateful to call you a friend. Thank you.
Plenty of Gamecock influence there, represented by Derek Moore, the new character and player development director under Shane Beamer, I should say, at USC, and coming from Georgia Tech, and the longtime relationship with Calvin Johnson, introducing him into Canton, as it was a huge weekend at the NFL Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning, the headliner, going in over the weekend, but plenty of notables, including Donnie Shell from South Carolina State, Troy Polamalu, Edgerrin James, to me, had the best moment, and we'll play that for you coming up a little bit later on in this hour as well, as far as the induction ceremony went. How about Charles Woodson last night? He was the last guy to get a speech this weekend. He went with the sequined ascot underneath the old the yellow Hall of Fame jacket. It was a strong fashion choice, Bill. I know you're really into fashion. You own any sequined ascots?
Not to my knowledge, no. I don't think I have any of that in the. I don't even really know what that is. Haven't seen the picture, and I'm just going to assume that none of that is in the closet.
It's mind-boggling in a lot of ways. But the emotions that come out in this thing is really interesting to me, how guys handle the moment, and then where they choose to go. Like Calvin Johnson clearly had the agenda of talking about dealing with pain in his career, and now kind of how he sees it as his mission to go with plant-based pain management therapies, and is pushing that. Peyton Manning's big take was that Hall of Famers and those who have achieved a lot in football owe it to the game to protect it and move it forward, and everything that's happened in the last several years. He wants to make sure that football keeps its place at the top of the sports landscape. And it will be interesting to see what else he continues to do. And obviously he'll remain in the headlines doing his Monday Night Football thing with Eli Manning, and how his dad Archie introduced him and the emotions involved with that. Tom Brady was in the crowd for Peyton Manning. Got to show his respect. A really interesting weekend in so many different ways to see how these guys handle this, and to see how this year was handled as well, having two classes and inducted at the same time. Just great to see people back in Canton and everyone celebrating football from my perspective. Patrick, what's your take there with your smirk you got going?
I was just laughing at the way you were describing Calvin Johnson, and then it's a plant-based approach. Makes it sound like he's going vegan or something. Like, no, he's got a weed farm.
That's how he put it. And I think it's CBD oil as well, the whole thing. And I know he was talking to Carolina football about his career because of that relationship with Derek Moore. And it's going to be really interesting to see where this thing goes. And we all understand kind of the opioid epidemic, I think, in the country, but I don't think we understand it from a pain management standpoint, what football players particularly have gone through and continue to go through. And to see a guy like Calvin Johnson becomes the third player at 35 years or younger inducted in the Hall of Fame, joining Gale Sayers and Jim Brown, I think brings a ton of credibility to the possibility of this thing moving forward.
I mean, you could just watch the game. Like, having everybody that's played football has been sore the next day, and like my head would always hurt from just banging into people because I had to play offensive line. And when you just see how strong and powerful these guys are, and just the collisions on every play, I could never imagine how they can go home and just wake up the next day and feel fine. And none of them do. And to keep going after that and play 17 games a year, at the NFL level at least, you got to imagine that they're getting injected all the time. You hear guys about what is it banned now? I can't remember what it's called, but they're getting their pain management shots before every game. Like, it's definitely not a good situation. So I do think the NFL and everyone should be open to whatever they can to keep these guys safe, because there are a lot of like scary stories about guys being addicted to opioids after their NFL careers. So I mean, I applaud him for the effort, but I don't know where we go from here. It's such a violent game. I don't know what the right answer is. In a weird way, do you ever look back at any given Sunday and just how that
movie played out and be like, yeah, that's probably the most realistic off the field football movie that you've seen? Like as absurd. It was Lawrence Taylor takes a chainsaw and cuts a Hummer in half, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, I only saw that movie one time, but are you kind of referring to like the team doctor role? That's what really sticks out to me. Wasn't it James Woods that played the team doctor?
James Woods.
And he was kind of like basically the evil character in that thing. He was kind of
Lawrence Taylor basically got paralyzed by asking to go back into a game because he had some contract incentive, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of any injuries or anything in the NFL. I go back to that movie, and obviously the football portion of it, like the actual game portion that they show is brutal to watch. Like it's just bad acting there with football players. Yeah. But it's the off the field stuff, and you talk about that, like with pain, not only pain management, but also the partying and just everything that goes on there. I'm trying to think, who was the actor? Is it Dennis Quaid who plays the quarterback?
Yeah. Yes.
And him dealing with his wife in the movie, and the end of his career is Jamie Foxx. Now I can't remember Jamie Foxx's character's name in the movie, but you talk about what you're talking. You talk about the pain aspect of it, and unfortunately, I guess I always relate back to any given Sunday and be like, yeah, it's probably exactly the way it is behind the scenes in the NFL.
And the players, I mean, they don't, I guess when you're in it and you're just trying to make money and get to your next contract and show that you're healthy, because that's also a big thing where it's like, oh, this guy has missed a game in every season of his career. Realistically, how can you not? I mean, when you're so sore every day, like you're getting hit all the time, where people are like, oh, yeah, we're going to ding $1 million off his next deal because he's injury prone. And so guys are doing whatever they can. Toradol is what I was thinking of. They banned some form of Toradol this offseason. I know NFL players were like, whoa, what are you guys doing? Because it basically makes you impervious to pain. Whatever was ailing you before practice, you take a Toradol shot and you feel like $1 million and go play your best. So, I mean, when you're a 25-year-old kid just trying to make money and get to your next contract, it makes sense. But, yeah, the long-term ramifications are not great.
And speaking of big-time contracts, South Carolina native Darius Leonard signs a $98.5 million deal with the Indianapolis Colts. He mentioned in his comments that he's still going to be motivated because of some rankings, preseason rankings. The Madden rankings don't have him necessarily at the top of the linebacker rankings. And Patrick, what stood out to you was the comments he made about how his kids are going to be raised in a much different economic environment than he was, but he'll still make it a point to very much show them and try to teach them that nothing in this world comes easy, and they have to earn their money. And it seems to be an integral part, not just from a playing perspective and production on the field, but a locker room presence for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, and that's a large reason why he got paid. That's a guy that it would break the locker room if you let him walk. Even the new analytic model of football is that running backs and linebackers are the guys that you give just kind of replacement level deals. You don't overpay those positions. But a guy like Darius Leonard, you can tell immediately when he speaks how passionate and inspiring he is. He is the emotional leader of that team. So there's no way they could let him walk, especially when he's such a freak athlete. And kind of helped change the linebacker position to these smaller, more athletic guys that can cover space and tackle sideline to sideline, not the big 250-pound thumpers anymore. But he's just awesome. The culture. They've caught a little bit of flack the last couple of years because it seems like they've just had $100 million of cap space every offseason. And Chris Ballard's continued to say, no, we're worried on keeping our guys first. And that's what they've done. They paid their right tackle, Braden Smith. They're going to have to pay Quentin Nelson soon, and he'll be the highest paid guard in NFL history. And then Darius Leonard is now a week after Fred Warner got his contract in San Francisco, kind of the two best linebackers in the game right now. Darius Leonard just barely one-upped him, so I think that's what his agent was waiting for. We want to make sure he's the highest, so you don't want to be the first one to get it done. But, yeah, he is such an integral part of that team. He's the leader of their defense, and that little press conference bit you heard about, or I heard about him saying, yeah, my kids I can give them all the money in the world, but they're not going to grow up with a silver spoon, basically. They're going to learn the value of work, and they're going to do things the hard way because that's the only way to do it, really, in my book. So, he's an awesome kid. It's impossible not to like and support Darius Leonard.
Pride of Lakeview High School in South Carolina State. From a Bulldog perspective, looks like Darius Leonard might be following the pass of Harry Carson and Donnie Shell over the weekend, inducted in the Hall of Fame as well, and they still continue to lead all college programs in Pro Football Hall of Famers. Kind of a mind-blowing stat in a lot of
South
ways.
Carolina colleges.
That's what I mean to say. The state of South Carolina colleges, the most Pro Football Hall of Famers come from South Carolina State, and not the University of South Carolina or Clemson. And Darius Leonard, a big headlining deal in the NFL with $98.5 million from the Indianapolis Colts at linebacker there. Let you hear the best part of the induction speeches. To me, it was Edgerrin James by a mile. Hear that next when we come back. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Your 24/7 sports station. I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty.
Was actually a pretty nice weekend. Didn't get too hot, but we all know that that's going to change. I don't know what it is about Columbia, South Carolina, but apparently late August and early September, especially when football season rolls around, well, it seems to get back into the mid-90s, close to 100. And when that happens, you better make sure that air conditioner is up and running properly. Don't wait a day longer. Get AAA Heating and Air out to your house today to get an inspection. If you've been having some issues, you need to give them a phone call, 803-677-1500. Don't check out anybody else. Let me tell you, AAA Heating and Air has got you taken care of. Roy and Dana Finley want to treat everybody like family. They start by offering a $1,500 rebate to take away your old unit if there's an issue. Then they want to work with you. They don't want to break your budget. They want to make sure that you and your family are comfortable, still able to afford your bills, because let's be honest, paying for a new heating and air unit can get a little pricey. They'll work with you. No money down, 0% financing. And on top of all that, they guarantee their work with a 15-year parts and labor warranty, so that if something goes wrong in the future, you're taken care of with AAA Heating and Air. 803-677-1500. Again, those dog days, those hot days of August and September are just around the corner. Get AAA Heating and Air out to your house today to inspect your air conditioning unit. 803-677-1500. Give them a call. Tell them you heard it right here with Bill Gunner on 107.5 The Game. Oh, lost the sweatshirt, went to the Washington football team shirt, huh?
Yeah, it was too hot in here. I turned the air off when I woke up.
What is the air conditioner currently on?
I don't know, but we did find out that there was an issue where somehow in our attic there's like a hole. So the way I understood it was that there's air blowing into the attic, and we're just wasting like a ton of air with every bill. I don't know. They need to do something about that. Oh, has anybody ever dealt with a broken motor in their power windows? Like the window would not roll up?
Yep.
What'd you do? Take it in?
Yep. And then they told me it was going to be a ridiculous amount of money. I'm like, all right, can we just get it up and then I won't pull it down anymore? And if I go through the drive-through window, I'll just open my door. That's what I did.
My window is now currently taped shut.
Wait, so it's not staying up?
It won't go up.
But you should be able to take it to a place, and I think they can like maybe even manually crank it, and then you can just push it up and then leave it up. Should be able to stay locked up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, those motors aren't free.
No, and I knew it wasn't. I was so annoyed when it happened too, because I haven't been pressing it because I knew it wouldn't go down, or it wouldn't. The last couple times it's been knocked down, it goes really slow up. So I knew the motor was dying, and I told anyone that would be in my car, like, don't press the button. But my girlfriend's dog, like, it's just small and jumped up on the side, and like her paw pushed it down.
Wow.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, easy enough, Trey. You just remove the door panel, replace the electronics.
That's what I thought, but
and really, aren't they just little clips, that kind of pop out and pop
in?
Yeah,
so that just means I have to buy. Can I go to a store and buy that? for my specific
Just
car.
remove the door
or-
panel. How do you go about removing the door panel?
I wouldn't
You
even
just
know
pull it off.
where it is.
I did remove the door panel.
What?
It's not hard. You just pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably
So
like
there's
try to
just
remove
clips.
the armrest or something.
I would. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think there it is. I think we live streamed Patrick and Jen replacing a motor
Does
or
any-
window.
Didn't
Trey,
say I
when you did
necessarily
that-
could do it. I've watched.
Did you have to buy the exact same motor, or any motor works? Like I can go to an auto shop and just buy a motor.
Chad says you will tell you.
Uh-huh.
YouTube is there.
I think if
for
I
that.
took it to like O'Reilly's or like an Advanced Auto, they would say, "Yeah, we have something just like that."
Hey, find out what,
Not the door, just the panel.
I think motors are probably fairly standard, but you'd have to make sure, to make them out of your car.
Hey, buddy.
Maybe I'll do that. Just take it to her.
Buy
Ask
another.
me what you need.
another
What it would cost.
Yeah.
You
It's near me.
okay? Cool.
How's it going?
It's going. It's a Monday.
Okay, there's an O'Reilly 1 mile away.
This year.
Here you go.
Texas A&M wins, I think, but it's strength. Well, Texas A&M definitely wins because it's on the SEC network.
Texas A&M wins by like 20 points
Blowout, to be honest with you.
Oregon.
against North Carolina.
Let me do a liner first, please.
At Texas A&M. Love it. As you see, Messi signed with PSG.
6-9, we love to hear your opinions, but 24/7, 107.5 The Game's Hot Take Hotline is there for you. Sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see them down in the Vista, 600 Gervais Street. That Hot Take Hotline number, 803-978-6654. If you need to vent, it's there for you. Wanted to let you hear now the best part, the induction ceremony speeches of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 2 classes going in over the weekend. Edgerrin James just going out on about the highest of high notes, writing the book about how you end an induction ceremony speech. Here's Edgerrin James from Saturday night in camp.
To all those who have been judged prematurely because of their appearance, the way they speak, where they come from, and in the minds of many should be locked up in prison, I represent us. I'm forever immortalized, locked up in the Candy Correctional Institution. Inmate number 336 in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My career started with gold teeth and ended with this gold jacket.
From gold teeth to a gold jacket is quite the line from Edgerrin James. And Bill, you asked a little bit earlier on in the show, did I think he was really a Hall of Famer? And absolutely, I do. I think his role, though, is definitely kind of the third guy, right? With Peyton Manning leading the way, who also headlined the weekend. Then it was Marvin Harrison, and then it was Edgerrin James. But you got to have kind of all 3 of those guys to have the success that the Colts had and being able to turn that franchise around. Again, it's easy to forget. Man, when I was growing up, they were just dreadful. I mean, absolutely dreadful. Jim Harbaugh had like a decent 1 or 2 years there as their quarterback, but they were so bad for so long after they moved from Baltimore. And then 3-13 Peyton Manning's rookie year to 13-3, and Edgerrin James was a big part of their sustained success. And that was a tremendous moment in Canton over the weekend.
Tim, you and I talked about this last week on the live stream. I don't think we did it on the show, but we were just talking about running backs because I made the same comment that Bill said. I just like, was Edgerrin James a surefire Hall of Famer? Because I never looked at him that way. I know that the Colts won a Super Bowl with Joseph Adai, I think, as their lead rusher. I don't even think it was Edgerrin James. But then you look up the stats. I mean, only 16 guys have ever gone over 12,000 career rushing yards. And the names ahead of him are just all obviously first ballot Hall of Famers: Emmett, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, like all those legends. So I mean, his stats definitely back it up. But when I thought of Edgerrin James, I mean, I think of a first ballot Hall of Famer as just, at least for most of their career, they were undoubtedly the best. And I don't know, was there ever a point where Edgerrin James was clearly the best running back in the NFL? Because he overlapped with, I mean, the front end of his career was overlapping with Emmitt Smith at the end of his career, Marshall Faulk, and then later on it was LaDainian Tomlinson, Curtis Martin, like just all these other legends that are top 5 all time in rushing and just some of the greatest ever. Like maybe he never was the best, but you don't necessarily have to be.
Yeah, I'm actually looking.
My answer to Patrick's question, Bill, was no. He was never definitely the guy, but the fact that you brought up all of those guys in different eras and he was still very much relevant, to me, that's what a Hall of Fame career is, man. Not just a good couple of years or a 4-year run or something. It is decade-esque production, and that's exactly what Edgerrin James is. Sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Well, I was just as Patrick was talking about it. Edgerrin James 13th all time in rushing yards. Some of these names, I don't know. I guess maybe just Curtis Martin is kind of right there on the cusp. He was drafted in '95. Like Curtis Martin is 6th all time, and I guess maybe I don't remember enough about Curtis Martin, but I didn't realize he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2012. You're right, Patrick. You look at these names that are ahead of Edgerrin James: Marshall Faulk, Jim Brown, Tony Dorsett, Eric Dickerson, Jerome Bettis, LaDainian Tomlinson, Curtis Martin, Adrian Peterson, who is still playing, Barry Sanders, Frank Gore, who apparently is never going to give up football, Walter Payton, and Emmitt Smith. Is Frank Gore going to be a Hall of Famer?
He has to be, especially when we're having this conversation. Those that you just at a certain point, the numbers they're too ridiculous.
And Hot Sauce Ross just asked the same question, or basically just said, no, he's undoubtedly going to be a Hall of Famer. Same type of guy, though, as Edgerrin James.
Yeah, just very interesting. I don't know. This isn't an argument about was Edgerrin James good or not. It's was he Hall of Fame good or not. And I guess the numbers bear out that he was. But yeah, Tim, me remembering the Colts during that run, he was not the guy that I remember necessarily. I mean, honestly, he'd probably be 4th on that list. I'd have Manning. I'd probably have Marvin Harrison, and I might even have Dwight Freeney.
Those teams were loaded. I mean, you had the wide receiver tandem of Wayne and Harrison, and then it just Harrison kind of passed the torch to Reggie Wayne at a certain point, and then Reggie Wayne was the guy. Dallas Clark was there the whole time. Jeff Saturday was there the whole time, and then one of the greatest pass rushing duos of all time with Freeney and Mathis.
Well, it goes into the argument. You can get into the weeds on this thing, right? That who makes who good, and the easy part of the conversation is good players make other players look even better. And so how much credit do you give to one? I mean, Jeff Saturday was a tremendous center, right? How much does the offensive line deserve the credit for what Edgerrin James was able to do running the football? And you mentioned Joseph Adai stepped right in there and the whole thing. So we can talk about that until we're blue in the face. I think what you're saying, Bill, is Edgerrin James was really, really good in your mind, maybe not great. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it's a very underrated. I'm just kind of going back now and going back through his career. I mean, he led the league in rushing as a rookie. You guys know where Edgerrin James was drafted? And he was drafted by Indianapolis, but do you know where in the draft he was drafted?
Yeah, the pick before Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's 4th. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1999 draft. I think it's just a matter of, and then I guess the weird thing is he left. This is another reason why maybe you don't think of him that much. He left Indianapolis the year before they won the Super Bowl. He left in March of 2006, and that following year is when Peyton Manning and the Colts won the Super Bowl, and so he wasn't a part of that Super Bowl team. It was an interesting thing because, again, statistically speaking, Edgerrin James, you look at the numbers, and I was just looking at his numbers at Miami. Played 3 seasons in Miami, ran for 2,960 yards, 32 touchdowns, was an absolute beast as sophomore and junior year, rushing for over 1,000 yards both years, and 30 touchdowns combined. He only had 2 his first year, so 13 his sophomore year, 17. So I think just as a whole, his career maybe not very undistinguished, but at the same time, a lot better than you would think as I sit here and go back and look at everything.
Who was he at Miami with? He wasn't in the same backfield as Clinton Portis, was he?
He was before, I believe.
For that, right?
Yeah.
Before Clinton Portis. And I'm not sure exactly the quarterbacks he was with. We'll go back and look that up
I
real
think
quick.
was that Ken Dorsey? I want to say that was a Ken Dorsey era.
I think he might have got the first year of Dorsey. Not sure. I wanted to give one other stat from the weekend as well. Charles Woodson was the guy who wrapped up yesterday, and he is one of a handful of guys. It's only 5 guys. It's kind of like the Asia Wilson, I feel like, of football resumes, what she has now in basketball, adding the gold medal yesterday to her ridiculous resume. NBA MVP, national champion, all SEC player of the year, and the whole thing she's done. I feel like Charles Woodson is one of just a handful of guys who have done it all in football in a lot of ways. Heisman Trophy, Super Bowl champ, Hall of Fame. Only 5 guys. You guys want to take a shot at the other ones? Do you have if you have the list in front of you, don't guess it. So there are 2 players that were before our time, and then 2 very much, I guess maybe even 3 or 4, I guess you could say. I'm trying to, it's way before Patrick's time for sure. The 2 running backs, the more current running backs, I certainly remember coming of age in football, and they were still very much relevant. Might have been just before your time, Bill.
I think I know one of the running backs because I think he just like ripped the Redskins fans' hearts out. Is Marcus Allen one of them?
Yep, you got it. Marcus Allen. Bill, you want to take a guess? The others, or are you looking at the list? You cheating? How you doing?
All right, give me this again. They give me, what is it?
Won the Heisman Trophy, won a Super Bowl, and got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
And
Only
running backs?
in the history of football. They're actually, I think it's 4 running backs and Charles Woodson. But the other running back, I think, maybe not. So it's 3 running backs, 1 quarterback, and
if we need to hit a break, can we
is the
play
quarterback
this and come back
Staubach?
with the answer? I want time to think about this, and I know we're kind of up against it. I would like to play this game, but I feel like it's going to take me more than the amount of time that I need.
Patrick nailed that last one. The quarterback is Roger Staubach. So you've got Roger Staubach on the list so far. You got Marcus Allen and Charles Woodson, 3 of the 5. We'll name the other 2 when we come back. Oh, Bill doing some professional radio. Dramatic conclusion today of the Monday edition of the early game coming up here on 107.5. Man, timing is something, isn't it? Right now is a tremendous time in the housing market. A little wrinkle around my house and my sister, and interested in the house over the weekend. So that's been going on for me. And I need to tell you about Buford Lending. Benji Getzi and his team, 25 years of experience. Just give them a call at 843-524-2404. That's all Benji asks. Put them in the mix if you're interested right now in taking advantage of this amazingly hot housing market where the numbers that he's shown me in my particular environment and everything that I have going on, absolutely fantastic. I mean, talking about interest rates and monthly payments and the whole deal, what Benji Getzi and Buford Lending have done for me has been really impressive. A lender that I can trust all the way through the process. You know, that's what you need in a lender, someone who will be there for you exactly when you need them. When I've called 843-524-2404, getting a hold of Benji Getzi and his team, no problem at all. I know they can do that for you as well, no matter what you're looking into. VA loans, USDA loan, conventional construction, renovation, looking to refinance, looking to get a second mortgage, whatever it might be, a second home. Benji Getzi and his team at Buford Lending will do it and do it very well for you. Give them a call, 843-524-2404.
All right, so a lot of statistics here. You got Heisman, Super Bowl, and Hall of Fame. You said that one of them was Charles Woodson.
I think we've got 4 of the 5 now.
No, just Woodson, Staubach. You're right, with the live chat we did. And Patrick, you mentioned
Marcus Allen.
Yep. So those are the 3.
And then the other two, what position?
Running back, both, I believe. Let me double check on the older one. One is way before our time. The other one, you should have caught the tail end of his career, I believe.
So somebody that won a Super Bowl. When you say tail end, I'm thinking early 90s.
No, I think maybe early 90s. I think it was late 80s, though. Let me double check his year.
Archie Griffin? Is that?
No, he's much more current than that.
I think of the old guy who was there.
His last year in pro football was 88 and played with the same franchise from 77 to 87.
It's not O.J. Simpson, is it?
No, he played for the Bills. They never won anything.
I couldn't remember if he played for anybody after the Bills, if he went, or if he was a lifelong Bill. I knew the Bills.
By the way,
he might have.
Do you see what O.J. Simpson said in that Athletic article that was kind of getting picked up by people? He said he doesn't know. He doesn't go to L.A. anymore because he might end up in a restaurant sitting next to the real killer.
Oh, okay. Everybody's saying Tony Dorsett? Everybody's saying Tony Dorsett. Was it Dorsett?
Yeah, one of them.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about OJ because my girlfriend thinks that he might have like a legitimate what's it called, like disassociative or something like that. Like he might have actually like convinced himself that he didn't do it. I don't know what that's called.
Trey's got this correct too, by the way. The fifth one is a Packer, Jet, or Cowboy.
Packer, Jet, or Cowboy.
But you said it's way before our time?
Correct.
I don't know. Like the 50s or 60s?
Correct.
Newt Rockney.
It's not Joe Namath.
Taylor?
No, you said it's a running back. Oh, I'm not, if it's a running back, I was going to say Joe Namath just because Alabama, Super Bowl, Hall of Fame. But I don't know if Alabama won a championship.
Head back in.
I'm thinking of Packers. It has to be a Packer.
Yep.
Oh, running back for the Packers.
I think he's technically listed as halfback, fullback, and maybe a little bit quarterback as well.
Oh, it's like Jim Taylor.
So just going back into the 40s. All righty.
No, 50s and 60s.
You guys are up.
Just no historical love here from Bill and Patrick. Patrick, I feel the love, the historical perspective from the NFL. Bill, I just feel the frustration for not knowing the fifth and final guy that has won the Heisman Trophy, a Super Bowl championship, and then gone into the Hall of Fame. So the four that we've gotten, Charles Woodson is the most recent one, Marcus Allen, Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach.
I'm just going to go based like Red. What was the? I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a galloping ghost, or what was it? Red. What was the?
You're trying to come up with Red Grain.
Yes, thank you.
That is not the correct answer, Patrick. You narrowed it down to a Green Bay Packer. Haven't gotten the
I want it to be Jim Taylor.
No,
it's not.
Taylor. This is a guy who was on TV in some role when I was just growing up, and that's how I knew him. I forget if he did football work or he did, it's like a commercial possibly. I think he went into acting, I believe it was. He's in on IMDb anyway. But I think I knew him. He had TBS or something like that. You guys want me to give you the answer? And
can we get like an initial or something?
Webster's dad?
Just one?
No, it wasn't Alex Karras. P.H.
Paul Hornung. Paul Hornung.
There you go. Nice job.
Was he not?
As a halfback, fullback, and quarterback back in his playing days, but the rushing yards, I think, very much overshadowing any kind of passing yards that I'm looking at from his rushing and receiving stats here anyway. I wasn't around in 1957 to 66 when he played for the Packers, so I can't necessarily confirm that, but I am seeing on his ProFootballReference.com, 1963, missed season, gambling suspension.
Of course.
Nice.
15.
So the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame going the opposite way of the Pete Rose situation with Paul Hornung, but there's 5 guys: Super Bowl, Heisman Trophy, and now Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thanks for listening to the early game. All right, guys on the live stream, thanks for your help this morning.
How many of those guys won national championships in college?
I'm guessing none. Or they would add that to the list, right? I know. Pretty sure Staubach didn't. I know Dorsett didn't at Pitt, right? Marcus Allen and Cal, maybe.
We need like Cam Newton or Joe Burrow to win a title because I want to see somebody do the national championship, Heisman, #1 pick, MVP, Super Bowl.
Right.
That would be.
Wait, was Tom Brady own? I think Tom Brady was own the Michigan team that did win the national title in '97. I think he's owned the team. I don't think he wasn't the starter.
He didn't win a Heisman though.
That's a good point. Yeah, good point. Good point.
Lots of guys have won Super Bowls and national championships. I mean, Dante Hightower's got like 20 championships because he went from Alabama to the New England Patriots.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, you guys are throwing too many
different stats.
Yeah.
Bill, I think you convinced yourself that there were more qualifiers to that than there were.
Looks like Dorsett.
I definitely did. I was like, yeah.
Troy says Tony Dorsett did that, and it looks like 1976. That's right. He left. Oh, thank you, Alan. Hall of Fame performance. We'll take it. We'll take it. See you guys again in the morning.